Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet with a special guest who is very rarely a guest here on this channel, whom I want to introduce to talk about some interesting things by the name of Yo, It's the Dizzle, title Swagosaurus Rex. How are you doing?
I would change that Swagosaurus Rex at some point, but it only periodically gives me the option on whether to change that extra line.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You can just do that right now. I could do that for you. I could loser there. Let's see.
I kind of listened to this interview. I'll basically play it while I'm doing something else. But this dude is hilarious. You haven't seen it. You said you haven't seen it. This guy. This, by the way, if you want to make an impact to people who might not disagree with you, this dude just crushes it. Total opposite from Muhammad Hijab, where he's thumping his chest to his followers, but anyone else who's listening is like, what the heck is this? But yeah, Bassem Youssef is totally different.
So are you saying that Muhammad Hijab was not very effective in his discussion with Piers Morgan?
If he was trying to like win sympathy for his position, no. If he was trying to thump his chest for his followers, he's been massively successful at doing that for a long time.
So how about this?
Comparison between.
How about this moment here then? You say that this was not amazing here. This didn't convince you.
Russell Brand, what's happening?
It's the same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
Yeah, that made me want to convert to Islam right there. I was like, oh snap.
Man, I think about it during the day and I just laugh to myself. What an idiot. Anyway, I changed your screen title to loser. You probably didn't realize that. I'll just change it quickly back here.
By the way, I'd been ignoring. I haven't been paying attention to Sneeko, and then I just saw that he posted Allahu Akbar on October 7th. I was like, what? That messed up.
He posted it on October 7th.
The night of October 7th, he posted Allahu Akbar. So it's pretty obvious. Now it's before any sort of retaliation or anything like that. That was just and that's where the only news was raping and killing babies. That's what everyone heard. That's what everyone had heard at that point. Isn't that nuts?
You're sick. You are sick.
Yeah. No Allahu Akbar.
How about no? I don't buy your Allah.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, I should add. This is a good idea. Deanna said I added to your soundboard, AP. That you were right. I should add. Why are you stuttering to the soundboard? All right.
and then also Piers Morgan. I'm not stuttering. You can kind of go back and forth.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready to be enlightened by this video, which is Piers Morgan versus Bassem Youssef? I have no idea who Bassem Youssef is. I've never heard of him before this. I didn't watch this video. David did watch it. I kind
of listened to it.
Okay, I'm going into this completely blind. So let's see.
So some of this I'm going to be familiar with because it was hilarious and I was cracking up laughing. But I definitely didn't catch everything he said. So there's still be some new stuff here for me.
Yeah. And meanwhile, by the way, lots of stuff is still happening because of that whole war that is ongoing.
What's still going on?
And there were earlier today we got news that a Detroit synagogue president, Samantha Wool, found fatally stabbed outside her home. Police is still investigating to figure out what happened, but lots of incidents around the world happening right now. And then we have other things going on, such as in the middle of London, people screaming Islamic State and stuff like that, like here. That means curse of the curse of Allah on the Jews, the curse of Allah on the disbelievers. He also screams at one point, Islamic State, Dawlatul Islam. The London police being very useless in response to all of this. I don't know. Lots of really, really messed up stuff is happening. We predicted for quite a while that mass immigration, together with labeling any kind of criticism as Islamophobia, would be would backfire and would be very harmful in the long run. But apparently, that wasn't clear enough. So now people see the consequences of exactly that. Meanwhile, New York Times hires some guy who openly praised Hitler in the past several times, which is the weirdest thing you see today, because New York Times is often one of those news sources that are accused of being like these, the Jews ruling the world and the media, because it's like mostly Jewish owned and stuff like that. And then they actually go there and they actually go out and hire a guy who is explicitly anti-Jewish and who praises Hitler.
You don't understand the plotting, AP. The Jews run the paper and all the media, and they hire this guy to post a bunch of stuff against Jews so that they can then complain about anti-Semitism. See?
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
You got it?
That makes sense. That completely makes sense. Yes, of course, and so on. Lots of terrible stuff happening. Oh yeah, here's the part. Let's see. Here we have a guy. At a pro-Palestine rally, this guy has a jihadist flag in his hand, which is also used by Al Qaeda as a flag, and he's screaming "Dawlat al-Islam," which means Islamic State, followed by curse upon the disbelievers, upon the Jews. And
it's crazy. If Hatun Tash were to walk through there, they would all gather around her, start screaming, and police would arrest Hatun.
Yeah,
for annoying these guys.
Yeah, and the police is being extremely useless at the moment. So,
oh yeah, yeah. Well, unless you're trying to display pictures of the hostages taken.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing that on purpose. They're trying to post the pictures everywhere so that if you happen to see one being held somewhere, if you go by someone's place and see a kid maybe tied up or sitting at a picnic table or something like that, that you'll know, hey, that's a hostage.
Yeah.
But police stopped them. Police stopped them from showing pictures on the side.
I saw that.
That was crazy.
Yeah, they actually wanted them to turn off the billboard and stuff like that.
Hey, how do we not know who Bassem Youssef is?
What do you mean?
I just looked him up. Bassem Youssef is an Egyptian comedian and television host who hosted the show, a satirical Egyptian political news program from 2011 to 2014, and is dubbed as Egypt's Jon Stewart, as the press has widely compared Youssef's show to the American comedian Jon Stewart and The Daily Show, blah, blah, blah. In 2013, he was named as one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. This guy was on the list of the 100 most influential people in the world, and we have no clue who he is. Isn't that weird? And then I watch him, and you'll see why he's so popular. But his personal life, it says Youssef lives in Los Angeles. For some reason, I thought he was in Egypt because he was doing an Egypt show. Youssef lives in Los Angeles, California, with his half Palestinian, half Egyptian wife. Half Palestinian, half Egyptian wife, and 2 children. Youssef is Muslim. When asked if he will ever return back to Egypt during the current military regime, and if he misses it, he has responded no. So he says he's not going back to Egypt until the regime changes. Anyway,
if you're done talking, we can finally.
Someone had to. Everyone's going to want to know who this guy is, and you didn't know who he is. So I enlightened everyone. Excuse me for destroying ignorance. But,
Yeah. All right. Let's see what this guy's about. Probably
this guy's hilarious.
Yeah. Elliot Burney said 2 Hassan Piker BBC interview instead. No.
That one sucked.
Yes.
I thought that sucked. This
It
guy
was
was
horrible.
awesome. There's a reason this one is way, way, way more popular, like 1,000 times more popular.
Hassan Piker is also dumb. And,
I mean, as a discussing
This guy's not dumb.
TV host and satirist Bassem Youssef. Bassem, it's great to have you back on the program. I wish it was under different circumstances. First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. I mean, we kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, you know, my wife's family, they live in Gaza. They have cousins and uncles there, and their house also was bombed. We haven't been able to communicate with them for the past 3 days. Communication are lost. So we don't know actually what is the, how are they doing, but, you know, we're used to that. I mean, it's just like, it's very repetitive. We're used to that. We're used to them being bombed every time and moving from one place to the other. You know, it's just like those Palestinians, they're very dramatic. Israel killing us. But they never die. I mean, they always come back. You know, they're very difficult to kill, very difficult people to kill. I know because I'm married to one. I tried.
You see what I'm saying? He sounds at first like he's being serious, and then he's not. Look at his face. His face looks like he's dead serious.
Man, this is messed up humor. But I love it.
Oh, it gets worse, buddy. This is like extreme dark humor all the way through, and he sticks with it. He does not break away from it. And Piers Morgan has no clue what to do about it.
This is messed up. Listen.
I know because I'm married to one. I tried many times, couldn't kill her.
I mean, there's a...
I told you he was funny.
Wow. Okay, I didn't expect that.
Oh yeah, neither did I.
Jeez, this guy.
I didn't even catch that because I wasn't really listening to it. And I thought he was being serious and stuff. It was some point a little after this when I realized, wait, he's saying some messed up stuff.
Man,
dark humor there, and I understand why. Because
no, it's not dark humor. I try to get to her every time, but she uses our kids as human shields. I can never
Oh,
wow.
I didn't catch that last time.
Okay.
She uses our kids as human shields.
That's messed up. Look at Piers Morgan's reaction. Though. He's like he doesn't know if he's supposed to laugh right now. God. Man.
Again, I understand the humor, but to be serious, Bassem, about this, tonight.
Look at Bassem's face.
Serious. I will be serious. I was watching your interview with Ben Shapiro, and I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I think that Ben Shapiro is one of the smartest people who ever walked this earth. He's very, very smart. I follow him, and I believe everything he said. And when he came on your show, his solution was, and I quote, his solution was that the solution for this is for Israel to annex Gaza and to kill as many son of bitches as possible to make sure that this will never happen again. And anyone who called for a ceasefire will be a terrorist sympathizer. So God forbid, I don't want to be labeled as a terrorist sympathizer. I agree with Ben Shapiro. I think we should kill as many son of bitches as possible. So far, 3,500 people were killed, including 5,000 son of bitches in the bombing of the Baptist hospital as we speak right now. 1/3 of those 3,500 were children. So my question to Ben Shapiro is, how?
All right. Yeah, so that's a good mix of humor to get your message across. That said, he's of course what's funny is how do you analyze this? Because he's actually putting on a very good performance comedically, but then he's also delivering some half-true things and also some propaganda that is just plainly a lie, like this whole thing that he just said, the Baptist hospital, which was bombed, where so many people were killed. This is, for example, something that is proven to be mostly exaggerated.
Yeah, but this is probably like he had probably just seen the version of events where, because that was the story that ran for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, we have so this is the Al Ahli Arab Hospital. I extensively talked about it in on streams, and we now have independent reports which just show clearly that this was not an Israeli airstrike. Plus, they also ran the story in the beginning as an Israeli airstrike that killed at least 500 people. Turns out we don't really know the number of people who are dead from that. We have never seen actual reports. We haven't seen bodies. We haven't seen anything. They say it could be, as low as 50, or it could be somewhere between 100 and 300. But what's sure is that the initial reports about this being an Israeli airstrike are wrong. Analysts have refuted this extensively.
And wasn't it crazy that the same people who were running around going, "Where are the 40 dead babies? Where are the 40 dead babies? They're lying about the 40 dead." Instantly, as soon as a place blows up, started talking about, and even though it's a parking lot, started running around saying that, that it was hundreds of kids dead in the hospital.
Yeah, they immediately bought this story. I mean, when you look at it, it's like it happened at night. We were told a hospital just blew up. Israel just bombed this hospital. That's what we were told. Of course, people who want to blame Israel immediately believe that morning broke, and then it turns out the hospital is standing. It was an explosion in the parking lot. Fire spread, cars burned. The buildings are still standing. Everything is okay. And there is a small, tiny little crater somewhere here, which shows that it was not an airstrike. It was probably a missile. And then we had additional evidence come out, which shows that it was actually a missile that explodes and falls down here, and probably the fuel or something else explodes, and we don't have any confirmation on how many people actually died. So that's the thing. It's funny what he's putting on here, but then it's also people can look at that performance, at that video, and so far 16 million people have watched it, and can take that as a harsh truth while it's actually not true at all. That's the point. That's the issue.
Back it up slightly, because he was saying he said he was going to ask Ben Shapiro something.
Okay.
Hospital as we speak right now, 1/3 of those 3,500 were children. So my question to Ben Shapiro is, how many more son of bitches do we need to kill so Ben Shapiro is happy?
Okay,
because it changes
Bassem,
from one year.
It
changes from one. I'm sorry that this is it. I'm really at a disadvantage here. I'm looking at a camera. I don't see you. I can hear you on my.
The reason I'm interrupting is I think it might be. I think you're conflating different interviews with Ben Shapiro. He didn't use the phrase "sons of bitches" with me. Let me play to you what he actually said on my show.
He did. Go back to your interview.
No, he didn't. That was another interview. But let me play what he said to me here.
Well, frankly, I don't believe in proportionate response to terrorism. I believe that the way that you stop terrorism is with wildly disproportionate response. That doesn't mean in terms of targeting civilians. It means in terms of killing as many terrorists as humanly possible and allowing them to dictate the terms of engagement by hiding behind civilians in areas that they are supposedly responsible for, means that the only option for Israel is to surrender to Hamas's hatred of its own citizens, its willingness to use its own children as human shields. No country worth its salt could ever do that.
Now, that is substantively different to what you said he said, right? He's talking there
but
specifically about Hamas terrorists.
I agree with him. The thing is, the question is, what is a proportionate response? Because it has been different from one tier to another.
Watch him.
Look at this graph, for example. This is the death of Israeli and Palestinians, and it's changing from one year to year. It's like fluctuating like crypto. So my question is today, what is the going rate today for human life? I mean, 2014 was a great year for Ben Shapiro. 88 Israelis died, and there was 2,329 Palestinians.
It's a great year for Ben Shapiro.
One Israeli for 27 Palestinians. That is a very good exchange rate. What I'm saying is, what is the exchange rate for today?
Well,
you guys will be happy. That's my question.
Well, it's not me, guys.
So I saw lots of people bring up that whole graph to see to show how many Palestinians and how many Israelis died per year, and for some reason. I mean, I'm saying for some reason, not really because I'm wondering why, but people often bring that up to say, look, Israel killed so many more people than Palestinians killed. But how exactly is that a point? That's not really a good point. It might be an interesting point when you present that, for your own audience or in a comedic way. maybe the comedic way is the only way where it actually makes sense. But in reality, so this is the graph, I believe. Let's see. Let's have it here. Do I need to zoom in? Human cost of the Israel-Palestine conflict, where it shows the number of Palestinians who die per year are significantly higher than the number of Israelis who die per year. But you could also very well take a graph of a war and show that in a war, on one side, a lot more people die per year than on the other side. Does that mean that the one side which has fewer deaths is in the wrong, and that the other side which has lots of deaths is actually the good side? That's not that. That's not what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, and most of this is, hey, put that back up there real quick.
No, wait. I lost it here. Where is it? Here. Yeah.
I just have to point out. Look who this is by. Statista. That kind of looks like the word swastika. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nazis.
Coincidence? No.
Yeah.
These are
Nazis.
Nazis. These are literal Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that, I mean,
plus
if
you're United Nations here, and nation also a Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're looking at this is actually, I mean, however correct this is, I would anticipate the differences being something like this, but that is a matter of technology, right? Like one side is significantly more powerful than the other. If Hamas suddenly had the same level of technology as Israel, I'm guessing you'd see a pretty big swing in the numbers here.
Yeah. That's true. So somebody brought up the point. Nicodemus Baker said, Apostate prophet in World War II, Italy invaded Greece and lost 20 soldiers to 1 Greek soldier. So Mussolini's fascist army were victimized by Greeks in World War II. Yeah, obviously. Yes. Obviously. That means, yeah, that's true. No, so what it means, it's not that one side is bloodthirsty or one side is, wants to really eradicate the other side, or one side is evil. It just means that the war, that a conflict is ongoing because of, we know it, because of, for example, Hamas, because of protests and violations on the Palestinian side mostly. And I'm not saying this because I think Israel is completely innocent. I'm not saying this because I think Israel is like the angel here. But we know that during the last peace processes, during all of them, there was always the option to make peace, which was unfortunately rejected or brought to an end by the Palestinian side. I mean, even during the last, even Yasser Arafat, who was hailed as a hero, who was praised so much for the Palestinian people, he had the chance to actually declare a free Palestinian state, to come to a proper 2-state solution. Like Israel made so many concessions to get there, but he didn't do it because in the end he still added additional standards and was then praised, additional conditions, and was then praised as a hero of Palestinians who goes to the very end without compromise. By that, he just messed up the Palestinian chance to establish a proper state and to bring peace. And I'm sorry, if as a result of that, then those people engage in terrorist acts and protest and violate borders which were set for a very clear reason, and then a lot of people die on their side, how is that exactly an argument here, right? Anyway, and yes, using as human shield is proven. Gaza, Hamas uses hospitals, Hamas uses apartment buildings, Hamas uses civilian facilities, public buildings, and so on.
Well, his wife uses one.
Yeah. So,
I'm not on either side.
No,
here.
not you. Like when I say you guys, I say like the people on the other side of that. I know that you don't think like that, Piers. You're one of the good guys. But let me tell you something. I mean, the reason that I'm using this is that, I mean, I can't remember what happened in 2014, and there was no music festival, but there must be something. I mean, they must do something. It is their fault. It has to be something. I mean, 2018, 300 Palestinians died. Who's counting? So the thing is, what my question is, let's find what is the exchange rate for human life today, so we know, expect the future death of Palestinians, and we'll be happy to it.
My response to that would be this, Bassem. I thought carefully
Look at
about
his face.
that because
It's awesome.
it's very tricky for people like me to immerse ourselves into a conflict where we're not directly involved. And I thought carefully about what I feel about this. I feel that the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th supersedes anything else I've seen in this conflict, really ever. The savagery, the butchery, the slaughter of 1,300 people, the shooting of babies, the
100%.
kidnapping of grandmothers, and so on. So if we can agree on that, which I think is inarguable, then the question then becomes, again, about proportion. I don't disagree that there's been a lot of bad stuff on both sides going back historically for decades. But if we agree that this was on a different level altogether, quite deliberately by Hamas, designed to provoke, no, here's my question. Let me ask you a question. And the question, because you raised it earlier about proportion. I honestly don't know what the proportionate response is. I honestly don't. I don't. I've been watching the airstrikes this week thinking...
So what's your question?
Well, I would ask you.
To be honest, the question is taking a little bit long, but I get the point. What exactly is the solution? What exactly is the response to that?
If you were Israel, what would you...
If I was Israel.
If you were Israel and that had happened to you, what would you think would be the appropriate way for the country to respond?
I would do exactly like Israel did, kill as many people as possible, since the world is letting me do it. I mean, I can do it because I can, you know. But the thing is, you know what? I agree with you. And you know what? I'm going to be even ahead of you, because I see the question coming. Do you condemn Hamas for the atrocity? Yes, I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas. Hamas is the source of all evil. They are a reason for everything. And you know what? Let's, for a minute, imagine a world without Hamas.
Right.
What will this world look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control of the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only
they do have a They're not in charge, but yeah, there's Hamas in the West Bank.
This is good joke, but factually wrong. And people bring this up a lot. They say, "So what about the West Bank? There is no Hamas in the West Bank." Well, what are you talking about? There is Hamas in the West Bank.
Yeah, and he's actually going to talk about before Hamas. Well, there was the conflict before Hamas, and before Hamas was in charge, and so. He knows there are other groups, there are other terrorist groups, and so on. You've always had them, and there are competitors with Hamas. So no one's saying that Hamas is the only group that has anything to do with this stuff.
Yeah. You had the PLO, which turned into the very moderate ones compared to Hamas, of course. You had the communist PFLP, which was quite terroristic and still is. They collaborate with Hamas in these attacks. You have the DFLP, which is also an offshoot of the PFLP, and they work with Hamas. They participated in this October 7th attack, and those groups existed long before Hamas. They came into existence in the 60s. So it's not like Hamas or terrorism only started in the 80s with Hamas in the late 80s. It existed all along. Plus, it was also a very bloody conflict that started long before Israel even came into existence, with violence from the Arab side. Yeah.
57 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. I can go on and on and on and on.
No, but you don't need to, because in a way you're preaching to the choir. I've followed this crisis.
Oh no, you're not preaching. So the thing is, like,
in the sense that I know that what you're saying has validity.
Oh yeah, the point again. Saying that Hamas does not exist in the West Bank is just not true. The West Bank also has these terrorist elements which are also active there and which incite things there. Hamas is just better controlled than Gaza because Hamas does not rule the West Bank. The West Bank is not where they are in charge, but they still exist.
Of course.
Piers, by the way, Piers, I am at a disadvantage here. I can hear you, I cannot see you. I am in a claustrophobic room, and so please cut me some slack and don't interrupt me and interrupt my point.
Sure.
So, because this has to be fair.
Understand.
Because if you want to only hear your opinion, I can just condemn Hamas and go home. I can do that. So do you want to do that, or do you have a much more nuanced conversation?
No, I absolutely want to have a nuanced conversation. I wasn't aware I was interrupting you. I thought I was letting you speak.
Amazing. So let's. I mean, I would say, I really applaud.
This is brilliant.
For doing one thing.
Look, you're looking like something's wrong. This is brilliant. Hey, I'm at a disadvantage. Hey, Piers, do you just want an echo chamber where I say, yes, I condemn Hamas and then go home? Or do you want a nuanced conversation? Oh, yeah. I want the nuanced conversation. Okay, then you have to let me talk. This is awesome. This is awesome. I love this is brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Force in the word does. Because I heard Ben Shapiro and I heard Ron DeSantis, and they said Israel is the only military force in the world that warns civilians before bombing them. I mean, how fucking cute. That is so nice of them. Because with this logic, if Russian troops started warning Ukrainians before bombing their houses, we're cool with Putin, right? Okay, Habibi, you have warned them, go invade. It's fine. You have done your job. I mean,
hey, Putin, Habibi, go ahead. You warned them, blow them up.
So again, funny representation, again, good humor, but again, a misrepresentation of what's actually happening, because you don't have a power suddenly, invading another place or another country or another entity, without provocation or anything like that. What you do have is Israel responding, in this case especially, to a very brutal attack, and then saying, you have 24 hours, evacuate this place. Isn't it so clear? You can look at the images if you have, if you can, but you see images of Hamas people pouring into the country, shooting people on the spot, left and right, everywhere, shooting people in their cars, doing all kinds of horrible things to them directly. We have now confirmed evidence, and I posted some of it on Twitter, which is really, really sickening, of Hamas going into homes, binding a parent and a child together, and then burning them. We have remains of that. So you have them deliberately doing these things, and Israel, as a response, still says, we hereby declare war. We will not endure this. So we are bombing. We are starting to bomb. You have 24 hours. Evacuate the north of Gaza. So this is a very clear message saying, if you are a civilian, you will get hurt. We are telling you, you will get hurt. You will possibly die. So leave the place. They're not saying, oh, we want to invade your country. And, here's the warning. So, again, misrepresentation. Sorry. As funny as it is. Let's see.
I mean, the thing is, and I understand, and I also heard Ben Shapiro talking about human shield. So you remember my wife's family, they live in Gaza. So I asked them, I told them, when Israel give you the nice warning, the cute warning, does Hamas force you to stay in your home so you can be bombed and use as human shield? You know what? Hassan here, my wife's cousin. He's a loser. He told me. When I asked him, does that happen? He told me no. The lying son of a bitch lied to me. I told him, you don't understand. Ben Shapiro and Ron DeSantis keep saying that Israel warned you and Hamas asked you to stay put. So I told you, he's a loser. He never kept a job. He even failed in all of the interviews to become like a human shield. I would believe Ben Shapiro.
Let me ask you this,
So let's go with that. No. Let me ask you.
At some point, I must be able to ask you questions. It's not a monologue for you, Bassem.
If we agree that for the 14,000 casualties, I mean, who's counting, our human shield, does that mean that every single one of those civilians was standing, obscuring a military target behind them? Because that's a lot of weapons. I mean, Hamas is packing.
No, of course it doesn't. Look,
you know what the funny thing here is? This guy is basically comedically asking the very same question that Mohammed Hijab asked in a video, where we said he is completely misrepresenting what people mean by human shield. Mohammed Hijab must be stupid. People are not saying that Hamas is actually, putting humans right
strapping
in front of them,
kids
or
to them and stuff,
strapping babies around themselves or anything like that. What is being said is that Hamas is operating from civilian buildings, from civilian neighborhoods, from hospitals, from schools, and so on. And this is known; it's proven.
So that the retaliation inevitably kills civilians.
Yes, that is what people mean by a human shield. They don't mean that Hamas terrorists literally take humans and hold them in front of them, or that humans place themselves in front of terrorist bunkers or whatever it is. So again, very terrible misrepresentation. Yeah.
So there's some collateral damage. Lots of collateral damage.
Yes.
It's fine. Yeah, you kill some to save some, and then kill some more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
let me ask you this again. It comes back to proportionate response. When the world decided it had to get rid of ISIS because of the appalling butchery they were carrying out, it did so by also killing, very sadly, a lot of civilians along the way by doing airstrikes against places which.
But killing civilians are inevitable. You said that in the beginning.
My point is,
it's inevitable.
Yeah, but once Israel has decided that they want to get rid of Hamas, and Hamas is embedded with civilian population, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen next.
Cookie Monster said it's a metaphor, AP, you simple man. I'm not sure if you're understanding this, but the entire point that I'm trying to make is that it's a metaphor and not to be taken literally, the human shield. So I don't know what you think you're responding.
Yeah, dumb AP.
Column tonight saying,
I
remember the Iraq War, which I opposed, right? I remember all this. So my question to you is, what would you think would be an appropriate response by Israel to what happened?
Important question. Let's see if he can actually give a response.
And by the way, just spoiler alert, that's the problem with this entire interview is you can watch the entire thing, you still have no clue about what Israel should actually do. Like at least Mohammed Hijab, he offered a suggestion that was actually ridiculous. It's sort of a, just individual soldiers go in there. I mean, a bunch of soldiers go in there and then they go house to house and separate people out and stuff like this. And when Hamas would be dressed like civilians, how does this work exactly? So it's silly, but at least he's offering some theory. You can watch this; you'll have no clue on what Israel should be doing.
Well, even he doesn't give a response. I haven't seen a single response, to be honest. I haven't seen one single response from anybody in this in these conversations to the question. Yes, we get it. Humans shouldn't be dying. Yes, we get it. It's sad that humans are dying, but what should be done? What do you think is the appropriate response? What do you think is the right way to go in and to eliminate, to take out Hamas? You don't say, well, just target Hamas then. Well, thank you. That's not very helpful. Or surgical attack. That's not very helpful. Give us a proper. If you do complain about the loss of lives, which is sad, as we all know by now, genius, fantastic, thank you. What exactly do you suggest? What is the practical solution as an alternative to that?
Yeah. What, like, if we acknowledge horrible things are happening, we would rather horrible things not happen. But we're sitting here going, we don't know what Israel's supposed to do that is supposed to get rid of Hamas. That doesn't involve this right now, since Hamas hides among civilians. We don't we're trying to figure it out. Like, what is it? Don't get Hamas? What's the solution? And no one's offering one. They're just, because for lots of people like Mohammed Hijab and so on, the real solution, what Israel is actually supposed to do is just get wiped out or leave. Right? They're supposed to get off the map in one way or another. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, Sorkovs, and you say turn electricity back on, tell the Gazans to leave, get them to Egypt and America. America? No. I'll
take the Christians.
Here is the issue. Here is the problem. People don't want it. Egypt doesn't want it.
They don't.
Surrounding countries don't want it. Plus, if you make this suggestion, this will be interpreted and recognized as a genocide, where instead of killing the cultural group, you remove them and put them somewhere else and then take their place. This will be considered, ethnic cleansing or whatever you may want to call it. Plus, again, we talked about this. The Muslim nations, the Arab nations, they don't want this to happen because to them, that land is important, and that land belongs to Arabs, that land belongs to Muslims. If they now take those suffering people and accept them in their countries, then they lose the land, and they don't want to do that. That's it. They don't care about the lives, they care about the land.
Well, these are years of disproportionate responses of Israel.
Right.
Did it solve the solution? Did it solve the problem? Did it work before, so it will work? What will be the surprise this time? What will be the twist that will make this work this time? What will be different this time?
I can actually tell you, Israel actually announced what their plan is right now. What they said is that they are going to. After the ground incursion, they're going to, so their goal is to completely take out Hamas and to install a new government that they will not give Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority. A new government will be installed that will keep things strictly in check. There will be no Hamas rule. It will not be tolerated anymore. And they will install a very large buffer zone that will be demilitarized, that will be an absolute no-go zone. It already is kind of in place right now, but they will widen it and make it very clear, more defined, more explicit. But as far as it looks right now, it seems that they are actually going to instate a new government. And the whole idea, the whole project of Gaza self-governing and finding a solution, it's dead. It's over. Sorry, it's gone. We see how that turned out. It's over.
Seriously, I mean, like, this is only the last 15 years. I mean, because it's too many papers. I just got this. But how will this be different? And the thing is, I am so glad in the introduction that you mentioned the Iraq war. I applaud you, Piers, for saying that, because you were honest about it. You said that spreading lies like WMDs made people look at those people as less of humans, and they would accept the death of 1 million Iraqi, whether by sanctions or by invasion, right? You are a good man. This is amazing. And you know what is similar? Is when you spread the lies of 40 decapitated babies, although it was refuted. So what happens when people hear that, killing babies is horrible. But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image
who has
with
said
a certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who has said that? Who has said 40
Who has said that?
Who has said that?
40 decapitated?
Who has said that?
Did you see what he did there?
No.
He didn't say that. This is an important thing. I want to play a different video that people.
No, I know. Yeah. So there are two issues. There's one, what Piers actually said, but the other is like his lead up to this. Yes. It's so great that you pointed out that you were against the Iraq war and spreading misinformation, which led to it. Yes, you're a good man. You're a good man. Good. But you know what that's like? That's like, and then he turns it to him. Isn't that like brilliant? Like he is a brilliant tactician and rhetorician here. And then,
I don't know.
I'm at a disadvantage. Do you want a nuanced conversation? This guy's brilliant, man.
I don't entirely agree that he's a brilliant tactician, because I would say
then you're wrong.
That he
then
might
you're
be
a horrible
brilliant.
tactician.
He's probably brilliant by the standards of the pro-Palestine crowd. There I agree. Brilliant by those standards.
So you're saying more like definitely more brilliant than the other guys, Hassan Piker and Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah,
the other guys.
Definitely. So he's the best that.
Yeah, well, we can agree that he is way better.
Yeah, the best that side has to offer, which is a very, very low bar, a very low standard, unfortunately. Because I think, again, it's nonsensical. And here's the issue. Now, he brings up the idea that Piers Morgan said 40 babies were decapitated. And I see Muslims post about this and say, look, he exposed Piers Morgan as a liar. Piers Morgan did say that, but he claims he didn't say that. Let him speak at first, and then I will go to the video, which actually Muslims post to show that Piers Morgan lied, and shows you that he didn't lie at all.
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated babies?
Never.
Ben Shapiro didn't say it?
No.
Ron DeSantis didn't say
Nobody
it?
has said
it. Okay, Piers.
No,
nobody said it?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I am wrong. Decapitated. Here's
you're wrong. I've never said that.
What happened? No, you're wrong. But I think
All right, let's look at this. So some pro-Palestine plus Muslim guys then made videos like these where they said Piers Morgan lies. Piers Morgan is exposed. He did say it, but here he lied. He says he didn't say it. And then they posted this video, and I showed this the other day. And this video just tells me much more about the intellectual weakness, the inability to understand simple sentences, simple thoughts that these guys suffer from, than it tells me about Piers Morgan. Let's see.
But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image
Well, who
with
has
a
said
certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who has said
Huh?
that? Who has said? 40
Who has said that?
Who
You
has
have
said
said
that?
40 decapitated.
Who has said
You
that?
have repeated.
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated babies?
So this is the clip, and now they are supposed to prove that he actually did say that, so that he's lying. Let's see the evidence here.
Choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them
Yeah.
being beheaded. And I was like, how can any human being do that to a baby? Never.
This is supposed to be the evidence. And when I see this, all I think is people must be very, very stupid. David, you see, right? You see how that is not the evidence.
Play his part again for everyone. 'Cause this reminded me of something.
Here.
I choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them
Yeah.
being beheaded. And I was like, how?
Some of them being beheaded.
Yeah.
Any-
So
You know what this reminds me of? Because you were talking about like the intellectual problems of people who don't get this. I have had probably hundreds of times, Muslims have sent me a verse from Matthew 7, where Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Right? So notice it says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. They'll take that and they'll say, see, David, you see, Jesus says, if you call him Lord, you're not going to heaven. And you call him Lord, you stupid idiot. And I was like, wait, do you guys understand words? I mean, do you not? I mean, seriously? I mean, and so anyway, it was weird. Like the first time I saw that, and I was like, is this guy an idiot? Like, and then it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming.
Baby Uno said, Apostate Prophet, you're playing semantics. Dude, yeah,
What?
I'm not playing semantics. The semantics
Dude, Baby
here
Uno
are,
is a troll, man. You're dealing with a troll here.
the semantics here are crucial to understand that he did not actually say what he's being accused of saying. So here's the part. Let's analyze this together. Apparently, I don't want to be too insulting or too condescending, but apparently these guys who accuse Piers Morgan of lying here are really stupid and don't understand very simple thoughts, don't understand very simple words. Now, let's pay attention to this. Let's break this down.
But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image
Well, who
with
has
a
said
certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who
So
is-
the accusation is Piers Morgan said 40 decapitated babies.
That's what they keep saying that he said, right?
Yeah.
who said-
Everyone on, I mean, they're all saying on Twitter that he said that he
Yeah.
said
I said that
40
you have said
babies were
40
decapitated.
Who has said
You
that?
have repeated.
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated babies?
So the accusation is that Piers Morgan said 40 babies were decapitated. And now let's look at the evidence here.
Choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them
Yeah.
being beheaded. And I was like,
What Piers Morgan says here
There are reports of
is
40 babies.
that
being
he
dead.
read revelations, so reports, stories. He doesn't say it happened. He says he read reports of 40 babies being killed, some of them decapitated. That is not the same at all with him allegedly saying 40 babies have been decapitated. Not the same
But-
thing. First off, he's not saying it happened. He's saying it's a story he just read. Then he's saying 40 babies were killed, not 40 babies decapitated. And he's explicitly saying some of them beheaded, some of them decapitated. So he cannot he cannot mean by that 40 babies were actually decapitated. And this is so horrible that these people actually want to get stuck on the details of that, where they want to discuss about decapitated babies and how many were actually decapitated and so on. It's quite clear here. He says he heard the story of 40 babies, some of them decapitated. And these idiots put out this piece of evidence to somehow prove that he actually said 40 babies have been decapitated. He never said it. You are just dumb. So, I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, I think it's clear, David, right?
Yeah, you said it like 9 times.
Yeah, see?
No, and and see, what'll happen is I'm sure everyone will call him a liar anyway, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone on
Don't care.
all his critics on Twitter will call him a liar anyway. But here's the thing: even after you break it down, they'll still call him a liar because they just don't care. They just they don't care.
It doesn't matter if you issue the correction, if you make a clear analysis, if you break it down, if you clearly prove that he didn't lie. They will still say, "I don't care. He's just spreading propaganda. He lied." Man. And we now have forensic lab publications, by the way, accessible to local and foreign media, which detailed that there are victims of all ages, including babies that were decapitated. Was spread by, or was published by Medialine, which they reported together with many other journalists from the forensic lab.
Is when Iraq, but the thing is, the same thing is happening in Iraq. Ben Shapiro once tweeted, not even about Gaza, about the West Bank, when Israel continued to build the illegal settlement. He said, 2017, Israel likes to build things, and Arabs, not Palestine, not Hamas, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Yeah, I thought that was very
the Israeli defense minister, he said, those are human animals. And the thing is, Ben Shapiro should know better, because, you know, long before the Holocaust, before Jewish people were thrown in the gas chambers, the Nazi propaganda called them rats. Now, as a human being, I will never accept that another human being being thrown.
Rats. They're calling them rats. Where have I heard that before?
Who calls another population rats? Or
oh yeah, Muhammad said that Jews have been transformed into rats because a rat won't eat camel milk, and so he thinks that rats follow Jewish dietary restrictions, and therefore they're actually Jews that Allah transformed into rats.
No, it can't be true. Can't be true. You're probably just lying about this. You're making this up. Or doesn't the Quran also say that they were turned into different animals, which is why this is often repeated by anti-Jewish Muslims? Pretty sure that's also a lie. Probably never happened. I don't know. But here he is again misrepresenting things. The guy did not call Palestinians human animals. He referred to Hamas as human animals. What he is right about is Ben Shapiro did indeed tweet in the past, Israel likes to build and Arabs like to bomb, or something like that, which is not accurate, I can say. And
yeah, he said that in 2010, September 27, 2010.
Yeah.
They could have included, if they wanted to point that out, it could have included that he put hashtag settlements rock.
Oh.
So that was a tweet about the settlements. Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Hashtag settlements rock.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Ben Shapiro did say that, and I think he wrote a whole article about how he did indeed say it, and he apologizes, and he thinks it was completely wrong and in bad taste or something like that. But yeah, no, it's true. He did say that. That's accurate.
Yeah, and you can't really. So the criticism doesn't really. It's not going to work with Ben Shapiro's side, because that's not the side that believes in like canceling someone over a tweet 13 years ago or something like that, right? Like most people are like, okay, well, I can totally change my views in 13 years. And I mean, if you go back 13 years, you could probably find some stupid stuff I've said, although my goal is to get more extreme and even more absurd and ridiculous as time goes on, so that my old self always looks tame by comparison.
Yeah. Random Ock said London is the great example of what Islam does. Thank you, Random Ock. DR said Graph is misleading since he's on about a proportionate response and it should show like for like. Like babies shot and killed on purpose, civilians captured, then raped, civilian hostages taken, etc. Yeah, you could go into a lot of detail on that if we want to make the conversation about that. I normally don't want to put this on screen here during a live stream, but since we're talking about things like these, this is also from the forensic lab, the same forensic lab. Source Aaron Porras, the media line. It says, perhaps the most disturbing image in the slideshow was a completely charred mass of flesh, which at first glance could not be seen as ever having belonged to a human. It was only after a CT scan was done that experts could see the inhumanity of the image. So this is flesh which they recover from the villages, from the kibbutz, where Hamas went in and killed civilians randomly. And it turns out charred remains and a CT scan of the remains show a parent and a child who were bound together and burned alive by Hamas terrorists on October 7. 2 spinal columns, one of an adult and one of a child, can be seen in the scan. The pair were likely embracing as they burned. One of many examples. And other examples of them simply torturing their victims inside their homes before killing them, or just otherwise mutilating them after killing them, and so on. This is what Hamas did on October 7th. And some people really want to come out here and defend this and say, oh yeah, they're just being misrepresented. There is no evidence for this or for that. Animals.
Kill 1,000, 3,500. They are son of a bitch. They are human animals who live in open sewage and decapitate babies. And because of that propaganda, Mr. Morgan, that guy in Illinois, the 71 years old guy, he killed, stabbing the 6-year-old Palestinian kid in Illinois 26 times. And he used to play with him. They used to be friends. But he went in, marching into their apartment, stabbing his mother and killing him, shouting, all Muslims could die.
Yeah.
It took you 80 years to change one word from Jewish to Muslim. And then you transferred your guilt to us and took away our land.
Bassem, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing that happened. It did indeed happen. An old man in his 70s went and stabbed a little child. Horrible thing. Horrible thing. Should be condemned. Should be rejected. Will be punished, by the way. Horrible thing, yes. Absolutely. Okay.
And notice that you have this, it's usually like every several years, but so you had Anders Breivik, that was way back in the day. And then now notice his, he's kind of comes out of nowhere, isn't getting his decision to go on a killing spree from anyone else. I mean, his theory was, I'm going to imitate Al-Qaeda attacks because that's how you get your message across. And therefore I'm just going to go kill a bunch of people because I know I'll get a ton of attention over it. And then people will read my manifesto. Then you had the guy, the New Zealand guy, a self-proclaimed eco-fascist. And he goes and shoots a bunch of people in some mosques. And then you have this guy who killed 2 people. And in every case, you'll see, look, this is because of how people are speaking about Muslims right now. But these exact same people will say, you see what Anders Breivik did? That's because of Islamophobes. You see what the guy in New Zealand did? That's because of Islamophobes and the message being spread. You see what this guy did the other day? That's because of Islamophobia. And yet, you know, if the Jewish head of the president of the synagogue turns out, I don't know what the details are, could have been a random killing, could have been targeted for some reason, could be all kinds of things. If that were to turn out to be a hate crime because of what's going on right now, no one's they're the exact same side that is saying, you see these three attacks that we've had over the past 13, 14 years, those are because of the way people are talking about Muslims. None of those people are going to say that all the people who've been killed, the 40-some thousand Islamic terrorist attacks that have happened since 9/11, the 14 years of slaughtering unbelievers in the name of Allah, they will never say that that has something to do with the Quran calling Jews and Christians the worst of creatures. It can't possibly have anything to do with Muhammad saying, I've been commanded to fight people until they say there's no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. The attitude towards Jews can't possibly have anything to do with Muhammad saying the hour will not come until you fight the Jews and they hide behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees say, hey, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him. Hamas can't have anything to do with things like that, even though it's in their charter, even though they put it in here and said, this is why we're doing this. There can't possibly be any connection here. So anyway, it's the same people who, no matter how many terrorist attacks there are, tied explicitly and clearly and indisputably to the commands of Allah and Muhammad. No matter how many of those we have, you can't say there's any connection between Islam and terror. And yet when you have guys who seem to be lunatics, they do something, then that is the result of everyone. You can link that to anyone. Anyone who's ever criticized Islam is at fault there. And it's just absolutely insane.
You know what makes me sick about all of this? A horrible attack happened on October 7th, as a result of which 1,400 people died. Hamas committed a terrible attack. We have now footage of it, of them going around, which a very mild cut of it was published by the Israeli Defense Forces, of them, for example, going around and shooting at random civilians into their cars, grabbing them, taking their stuff, throwing them into the streets, collecting them, parading them around. Random civilians going from house to house, shooting inside the homes, then setting the homes on fire, whether there are people inside or not. Lots of things happened. On that day, on October 7th, we said, a lot of people said, okay, this is going way too far. Nobody will, buy the victim card once they complain about the response from Israel. And, as soon as that day was over, we started talking about how Israel bombs Gaza. And people started protesting about free Palestine. And we are just talking about Israel's response now. This show here is just about Israel's response, of how Israel is, killing people. Israel is responding out of proportion and this and that, instead of actually spending a little bit of time to talk about Hamas and what they did. Like, this guy wasn't asked to in detail talk about what Hamas actually did and why they were motivated to do these things, why Hamas poured into Israel and abducted women, men, little girls, children, babies, old people, and why they did horrible things to them, why they tortured them, why they mutilated them, why they raped them, and so on. We're not spending any time talking about why they did that. Instead, we are supposed to talk about why Israel's response to it, or Israel's self-defense, is out of proportion.
By the way, that's what
I don't really care about the size of Israel's response. I care about what Hamas did and why they did it, and I think Israel has every right to respond to it.
And notice that that's one thing that all of the this guy Hijab, that what's his name, Hassan Piker or something like that.
Yeah.
That's something that all of these guys are doing extremely well. It's bad, but they're doing from their side's perspective, they're doing a brilliant job of just every discussion they're going into. It's, oh yeah, we condemn anywhere they actually cross the line, but Israel, and then they, just so they'll acknowledge that they condemn something, so that, okay, we're past that now. We just we spent 5 seconds condemning this thing that happened, but now let's focus on Israel, and then they turn the entire discussion into one about Israel, and it's so anyway, that's brilliant. But there's a really messed up side to all of this. If you're thinking about things from the perspective of terrorists, think about from the perspective of terrorists too. Because guess what? Israel can wipe Hamas off the map. There are going to be more terrorists. There will be other terrorists who take their place. What's really creepy is here. Think about this from the perspective of a terrorist. Hey, we went in and did a horrible massacre. Who looks bad here, right? Who ends up looking bad, according to kids on college campuses and
Israel,
and
of
people
course,
around the world,
Israel.
right? So it's, hey, it's actually works. I can go in there, kill a bunch of people. Maybe they'll take me out in response, but Israel will be the target of the criticism after like a day. After one day of people going, "Oh my goodness, look what these evil people did," the very next day it will be 6 months of blasting away at Israel in the media and on campuses and so on. And so notice that's an incentive, right? So when people are reacting with these mass rallies and so on, celebrating what happened, the message to terrorists is, hey, if you really want to be celebrated, if you really want to be a hero, and if you really want to make Israel look even worse, thus hastening the time when we can actually take them out, then just be a terrorist. Be a terrorist. We will celebrate you, and even if we condemn you for a day, everyone's attention will very quickly turn towards Israel. So anyway, the point is, the entire world is, not every person, but the way a big portion of the world is reacting right now is encouraging it.
Yeah, precisely, and that's the problem. That's the problem. If Israel were to give only a proportionate response, whatever in the world that it actually means, and whatever in the world people imagine, and Hamas didn't continue to exist, and Gaza was given the right to, I don't know, to govern themselves and to somehow move on and possibly change Hamas, or just go on with them again. This would just happen again in the future. It would just happen again. It would happen again and again and again, because every single time it's like it's just, well, they did something, Israel responded. Israel shouldn't have responded so badly. There is no actual condemnation, no actual encouragement to completely get rid of Hamas. I'm sorry. I know some people say I feel for both sides. I also feel for both sides. I see pictures of people dying in Gaza, and I feel terrible about it. I feel bad about it. It makes me feel sick and sad and dark inside. But does that mean that Israel should not respond? Does that mean Israel can't respond? No, Israel has to respond. Any country in this position would respond. And some countries would respond in even worse ways. If you don't want people to die, don't support directly or indirectly the existence of these genocidal maniac Islamist groups like Hamas.
Yeah, and I feel nothing for either side because I'm mentally, I have some mental problems. But yeah, so I understand that people have value, and so yes, when it's I mean, think about how much it really sucks for Palestinian kids. On the one hand, they've got people like brainwashing them and stuff like this, telling them that the greatest thing they can do is go get killed by Jews, and then Hamas makes sure these kids don't leave. So then they got to sit there getting bombed. And then the kids actually get bombed. And then they're pulling kids out of rubble. And then like their entire life's purpose has come down to being a photo or short video shared. And, that just sucks that people shouldn't be, that shouldn't happen. And, both sides are involved in that happening. So yeah, it does suck. It sucks for everyone. It sucks for the Jews. It sucks for the Muslims. It sucks for the Christians. It sucks for the undercover atheists. Sucks for everybody. But when I say what is the main obstacle towards any peaceful resolution ever happening, it's the terrorists. That's the obstacle.
That's it. It's as simple as that. It is absolutely the terrorists. Or do you really think that these guys actually want peace and that something good is possible with these guys here?
أيدينا على السلاح، أيدينا على الصواريخ، أيدينا على تفسير الباصات، أيدينا على العمليات الاستشهادية.
Remember, some people actually suggested you should open the doors or make hold conversations with these guys and possibly even harbor them in your own country.
Yeah, and I saw tons of people on campuses and so on demanding that Israel destroy the fences and walls, but keeping these guys out of Israel. It's like, are you are you lunatics?
These guys.
خلاص يا 7 مليون فلسطيني برا بكفيكم تسخين في عندكم يهود في كل مكان يجب ان نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الارضية ذبحا وقتلا باذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. فلسطين من البحر الى النهر ولن نعترف بإسرائيل.
Like, this is also one of those things I repeat it in every single discussion whenever it comes up, but some people, either out of ignorance or because they have an agenda, say, well, if Israel just, stopped with whatever they're doing, then there would be peace. No, there wouldn't be peace. These guys are telling you directly and very explicitly, you can see it here, from the river to the sea, we will never recognize Israel. That means the entirety of the historical Palestine, including all of Israel, will be taken. We will never recognize Israel. We will continue fighting until that is done. That's what these guys are saying. And then you come and you're like, well, it's just because of Israel. If Israel, didn't do this and this and that, then it would be okay. No, it wouldn't be okay. Get out of here.
اللهم عليك باليهود ومن والاهم اللهم عليك بالأمريكان ومن والاهم اللهم احصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا.
وبدنا اياكم يا اهل القدس بالسكاكين امعطوا رقاب اليهود كلها تقف على العرق من هان.
That's a senior Hamas speaker and official. He's directly, this is only from 2021, this speech, directly describing to his audience and to the Palestinians, to the people of Jerusalem in the West Bank, how to cut the necks of Jews.
القدس بالسكاكين امعطوا رقاب اليهود كلها تقف على العرق من هان.
And you want to somehow make peace with these guys. Jay Cuddy said, no, he's not. Yes, he is. He said these guys show one video over and over again. I'm not sure if you're blind or dumb, but these are all different videos. And you can find more of those. These are just very short ones.
Sucks, man.
Let me ask you a question. How do we get
man.
where we are now to peace?
Well, first of all, you need to change the perception. Nikki Haley, the American presidential candidate, said, we are in Israel in this because it's a fight between good and evil. Now, if you already decided someone is good, he can do no evil. And if you decided someone is evil, it's good to kill them. Killing them is good. You see, and the thing is, it is not like something new. I mean, I look at history and I see, I'm sorry to say this, but Westerners has always dealt like this with indigenous people. You first treated them like savages, Native American, First Nation, Aboriginal. They're savages. Kill all the savages. And then when they're almost extinct.
What a comparison. What he's talking about is Nikki Haley's words where she describes the war as in Israel versus Hamas as good and evil. What he's doing right now with that comparison is he's twisting that and turning that into Israelis are good and Palestinians are evil. That would be the comparison. That's not what is being said here. That's not what is being said here.
He's I think he's this part with the Native Americans or with indigenous peoples. He said you always have the same response. You treat them like savages. We have to wipe them all out, and then once you've wiped almost all of them out, then you go into like protection mode, and we have to take care of them. And he's saying, I don't know if he's going to continue with the dark humor here because I don't remember what he said. But note he could say, because he just mentioned you have to change the perception. So he could be saying you have to wipe enough of them out so that you go into protector mode, and therefore change your perception of them into into our harmless pets or something like that.
Yeah, plus complete distortion of the history, and also, I guess, an attempt to compare indigenous populations in one region to Palestinians, implying that the Palestinians are also indigenous people, which is not true. It's the Palestinian Arabs are not indigenous people of the region, and the Jews are invaders or something like that. That's a complete distortion of actual history.
You start feeling sorry for them, like animals. So maybe the solution is that we kill as many Palestinians as possible.
Yeah, there we go.
So the few of them that remains do not bother you. And maybe Netanyahu, when he
about
lives for another 100 years, he'll become a tree hugger.
Let me just challenge you on this.
And he will campaign for preserving the free Palestinian.
You keep talking about Westerners like me. Okay, so return
who did he? Who was he referring to? He was saying then if he lives 100 years.
I don't know.
Was he talking about Ben Shapiro or someone?
I'm not sure.
He said, and if he lives for another 100 years, then he can protect the 3 Palestinians who are left after we've wiped out all the rest. Yeah. So yeah, that's how he's saying you should change the perspective.
Yeah, Mike Isaac said Palestinians are indigenous. You liar. They're actually not. Palestinians are a population that is very, very mixed. According to the early countings, during the British Mandate era, they were lots of them were just regular Arabs, Bedouins, as it was described. Palestinian Arabs were not even a thing. It wasn't a single population. It wasn't a unity. It was a mix of different populations that did adopt the name Palestinian in the last century, in the 20th century, based on the region that they were living in. And the region was called Palestine by the British, by Western people, because the Romans called it Palestine, because in ancient Greek language, they referred to a very small part of it as Palestine, and because Herodotus mentioned it as Palestine. That's it. These people are not indigenous. They are Arabs and other people in that region who have nothing to do with those ancient populations, and who simply adopted that name in the last century. This isn't. It's not like with the American population, where there was an indigenous population that lived in this area, or in these on this continent for centuries, and then somebody came and invaded them. That's not how it worked.
Yeah, and the most you could say, as far as saying they're indigenous, is that genetically a lot of people there would have some ancestor that's been there for a while. The same would be true of a lot of the Jews who've been there, because there have always been some Jews there. And whereas lots of people, lots of what became Israel moved there from somewhere else, you still had people there who are now they're all together in a bloodline, just as there are tons of people in America who have some sort of Native American in their bloodline, even though it'll probably be a very tiny portion. But I mean, I think it's my my 2 greats or 3 greats grandmother was a Blackfoot Native American. Does that mean I'm indigenous?
Yes, of course.
I don't think so. Right?
Now the whole land belongs to you. You are supposed to take all of it. All of it. It's all your land.
I remember I found out what she was, and I was like, oh, awesome. Let me look up. This is going to be so cool. Blackfoot Indian. They're probably like Iroquois. They're probably like the Mohawks. And I'm looking it up, and they're like, oh, they're mostly peaceful plains.
Yeah.
Plains people or something like that. I was expecting some awesome bloodbaths in my history, but nope.
The same person just said we are Canaanites. I'm not sure how you think this works, but Canaanites were called Canaanites for. So how ethnicity works, lots of people don't get it, is that people give a name to a certain population that lives in a certain place because of shared shared culture, shared language, and whatever it is. So people refer to, at some point, to certain people who lived in a region who were possibly a mix of other populations as Canaanites, because they developed a culture together. To others, they refer to as Samaritans, or to some as Philistines, which, by the way, have nothing to do at all with Arabs, with the Semitic population, and so on. They were they descended from what is nowadays Greece, as it is seen. If you want to say that you have some traces of DNA from the same people, from people who were Canaanites millennia ago, you are probably right. You probably have some traces. You probably have some traces of Canaanites in your genetics, but the same is true for almost all of the populations, different populations that live in that region, and the same is also true for Ashkenazi Jews.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, even Jesus had a Canaanite in his bloodline, right? So I mean, you can look at the genealogy, Canaanite there. So yeah, guys, that's the Jews, the current day Jews have some Canaanite blood in them. So do lots of the Palestinians. What in the name of common sense does that have to do with anything that's happening right now?
Yes, and I am actually, because I'm Turkish, I'm actually I'm descendant of Attila the Hun, and also of Genghis Khan, and all of these other people.
Yeah, notice this would be like, I mean, notice I could say, oh man, AP, he came to the U.S. He's not native. He's not indigenous. My great grandma, whatever, was indigenous, so I'm indigenous. He's not. I'm gonna go kill AP. And if I go and kill him, then look, man, I'm indigenous. He's not, because I'm like this much of a person. I'm this tiny bit Native American, so I'm indigenous, right? It's like, oh, what? It's like idiot. It's like insane and idiotic, and that's why you got people arguing.
Yeah, look at this pool here. If you really want to go into the study of heritage, of genetics, look at this pool here that you have here. This big soup here in front of you. Here, for example, you can see genetics taken from Palestinians over here. Palestinians you can find them here somewhere, like these guys over here. Look, it says here Palestinian, and you go over here, and you can find genetics of Palestinians here overlapping with a lot of Levantine, Arab, Middle Eastern populations, overlapping significantly, but also with other populations. And then you find, you can look at the Jews. You can see that Jews also overlap with those. Let's look at the Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi Jews are the round ones. You can find the round ones here. You can find them over there. You can find them everywhere. It's not like you can't sit down with your very narrow, very ignorant view and say, I am a Canaanite. It doesn't work like that. You just happen to have genetics from all over the place. The populations moved, settled, intermarried, and so on.
I'm also, matter of fact, I had one of those DNA tests. I'm 2.7% Ashkenazi Jew. So anyway,
that means you should take
maybe that's all my land.
Yeah, it is your land. It's also my land, by the way.
And I could read the Bible in the same way that Daniel and Jake say is the only correct way to read the Bible, and say, okay, any command I find anywhere in the Bible is equally binding on me, and therefore I'll read cross the Jordan River and take the land, and then I can go do it.
Yeah,
powerful.
Whole idea of
smart people in the world, man.
Indigenous people, land belongs to them. It's all a bunch of garbage. Pseudoscience, pseudo everything.
Hamas is dedicated to the complete eradication of Jewish people.
I am not the spokesman for Hamas.
I'm not saying you are.
Why do you get?
I'm not saying you are.
The spokesman.
You're talking to me.
I fucking hate them.
Bassem,
fuck Hamas.
You are
Hamas.
No,
are you happy?
You're missing my point. We're talking in a general.
Are you happy? Look at him grinning now.
Arabs as savages. I don't.
I'm talking about America.
I actually led the campaign. I led the media campaign in this country against the Iraq War. Okay, so I don't see I don't see people in the Middle East as savages.
You are one of the good ones.
But what I would say is,
I'm talking about you. You're great.
No, it's not about me being
great.
It's
we love you.
It's about.
Did he just do a kiss?
The good ones.
But what I would say is,
I'm talking about you. You're great.
No, it's not about me being
amazing.
Great.
We love you.
It's about
he blew a kiss. This dude's funny.
Man. The thing is, His whole he spends the whole time on humor and on sarcasm and all of that, but doesn't actually address anything. That's the problem, right? With this, I mean, this would be interesting. This would be cool in any other environment, but if it's a discussion that is about Israel-Hamas war, as this is titled, he's not actually offering anything. He's not talking about it. He's just talking about he said, she said, and so on. Yeah.
Someone's mentioning. I think Gad Saad is there. They're calling him the evil Gad Saad, but he does look like him. How awesome would it be to have him and Gad Saad in a discussion? Wouldn't that be like the coolest thing? Yeah. I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. You mean he
oh
looks
my
like
goodness.
You mean he looks like a regular Middle Eastern person? That's what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Hey, people contact Gad Saad and tell me he has to get this guy on here. Oh, by the way, great Jedi. He said, D Wood, remember 2.7 qualifies you to hide behind a tree. My 2.7%.
Wow. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Let's see. Let's bring Gad Saad and this guy together with his eyes open. If I can catch him with his eyes open here. Oh, okay. I see. I see it. Yeah. I see it. Interesting. But they just both look like regular Middle Eastern people. That's it. No. And this is just
you look like a Middle Eastern.
This is the proof. Like, this guy is Egyptian, Palestinian. No, he's Egyptian. What did he say? He himself is Egyptian and he's married to a Palestinian, or he is Egyptian.
His wife is half Egyptian, half Palestinian.
And what is he? What is he again?
I think he's Egyptian. I think he's just Egyptian because he left Egypt because he said he didn't like the government.
And this guy is Gad Saad is Jewish. I don't know what Jewish. I don't know what kind of Jewish. But yeah, anyway.
It's about the way Hamas behaved on October the 7th was like savages, like a pack of savages. It was the worst atrocity against Jewish people since the Holocaust. There has to be,
of course,
there has to be a response.
They should be eradicated.
My question for you is, notwithstanding the history, Bassem, what is the proportionate response?
I know he's Lebanese. Thank you. Why? I know he's Lebanese Jewish. Okay. I guess that's okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Get it.
But I don't know. But there's no Hamas in the West Bank, and they're still dying there. So what's your excuse?
I don't have any excuse.
Okay, what's your explanation? Sorry, my earpiece went down.
I listen. I don't make any pretense that this hasn't been a massive problem.
Okay,
between Palestine and Israel going back to the mid-40s. We all know this, right?
Piers. Listen, I'm not saying that you're making excuse, but if you are adopting a certain point of view, you have to at least defend it. I'm telling you, there is no Hamas in the West Bank. What is the excuse? Not your excuse.
This is still a weak point. So. Yeah, no one's
listen. This question of proportionality.
Hamas is not the only terrorist. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hamas is responsible for this terrorist attack, and Israel has decided to wipe out Hamas because of this terrorist attack, which followed a bunch of others over the years. No one is saying that they are the only source of terrorism.
Yeah. Nobody claims that. There are different groups. Some of them are active in Gaza. Some of them are active in the West Bank. Plus, Hamas has also always been active in the West Bank. That does not mean that they are dominant. It doesn't mean that they are in charge. They are not. But they still do have activity. There recently was an arrest of an actual Hamas representative directly in the West Bank. This whole idea that Hamas does not exist in the West Bank is just completely wrong. That's wrong. He could say this has nothing to do with the current war, which is between Israel and Hamas. So why are people dying in the West Bank? It's currently because of the tensions that are ongoing, with raids inside the West Bank also on Hamas, and with other groups also becoming quite active. There has been an increased number of attacks from the West Bank since the fighting started on October 7th.
Yeah,
quite understandable.
Yeah, his point that he's making here, one is this is a really bad point, which is only coming across as strong to a lot of people because he's hilarious when he's doing a lot of this stuff, and he makes hilarious faces and so on. But so he's saying, okay, so Hamas is evil and they should be wiped out. But wait a minute. Wiping them out would not solve the problem because people are still being killed in other areas. So that wouldn't solve the problem. Yes, yes, you can annihilate one terrorist organization. That doesn't mean that no other terrorist organizations are around or are going to continue launching terrorist attacks. But notice the reasoning. That would mean don't ever take out a terrorist because there's going to be more, right? Yeah. So yes, in other words, wiping out Hamas would not solve all of Israel's problems. That doesn't mean it wouldn't solve some of their problems.
Yes, right? Exactly. And that's the point right now. That's the point with the current war. The current point is to take out Hamas. And the only way this can be done is to have a complete war on where Hamas operates, which happens to be not because Israel decided it, among the regular population of Gaza. Oh, wait a minute. I got a super chat, a big super chat here from Eli Shamoon. Wait, you say he doesn't want to be called Eli, right?
Yeah, even though that's how he says in English, that in America, that sounds like a girl's name. And so go with Eli.
Okay, Eli. Thank you so much, Eli. This is, I appreciate this very much. Big contribution, very helpful. You made my day. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. He said, love you both, with a super chat of $199.99. Unfortunately, it's not 200, so I can't praise this anymore. But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Eli. Also, Curtis, KD5A said, does me not feeling anything about seeing Palestinians being unalived make me a bad person? I hope God will forgive me, but I just don't feel anything for them. It depends. First of all, thank you so much for your contribution and your help, but it depends. If you are a sick psycho like David, for example, it wouldn't mean that you're a bad person. It would just mean there's something wrong with you. But if you feel something for one people but not for the other side, I don't know. It could be because you dehumanize that side. It could be because you somehow justify their deaths in your mind. I personally won't tell you that there's something wrong with you or that you're a bad person, but I can only speak for myself. When I see deaths on both sides, I feel pretty bad about it, and it makes me sick that people actually try to use those dead people. So to say, look at our dead people. How about this dead people? Why don't you condemn these deaths? I feel horrible about both of them. That said, I can't say that you are a bad person for.
Yeah, and what you'd want to do about that, Curtis, is try listening to some of the Palestinians at some point, and not just the ones that are screaming death to Israel and we're going to kill all Jews and stuff like that. Listen to some of the ones who don't want that and just grow up there and I don't know, get their perspective. Because keep in mind, anyone could just be born there. You're just born there, and you want to grow up and have a life. And every couple of years, there are bombs flying on you because some terrorists went and did something and so on. You don't want the bombs flying on you and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you're buried in a pile of rubble. That would suck. Like in other words. It's good to try and see things from other people's perspective, because we're sitting here, we're outsiders. But notice, I mean, if I had been born in Israel, I might be fighting for the IDF right now. I might be with the IDF right now. If I'd been born in Palestine, I might be with Hamas right now.
Yeah. I recently talked about this video that we watched, which was a video of kids that are at a UN-funded school in the region, a Palestinian school. And so they interview those children, and the children say very messed up things, like that they learn that Jews are animals, Jews are the enemy. Some of them say, when I grow up, I will become a hero, I will stab a Jew, I will drive a car over them, and so on. And you look at that and you think, wow, how horrible, what kind of horrible things they learn. And you could then look at that and think, they grow up as actual animals, as actual savages. You could think that, right? I'm not saying that's the way to look at it. Or you could look at it in a different way, and you could put yourself in that place. Had I been born there and raised under the propaganda, the circumstances, the constant fighting, with my parents, my school, and the authorities and all of that brainwashing me into thinking that the Jews are evil people, they are monsters, they oppress us, and I'm supposed to fight them, and that this is my purpose, maybe I would also turn into one of those kids. Maybe I would also turn into a terrorist. Maybe I would also become a suicide bomber. But we don't even talk about those. Right now we are talking about random people, about random civilians, for example. They didn't choose to be born there. They didn't choose to grow up there. They are just born there. They are just a product, a result of their environment, their circumstances. They didn't choose to be born there and grow up in such a horrible environment with such horrible ways of thinking, instead of choosing to grow up on the other side. I didn't choose to grow up in a peaceful family where I learned that where I don't learn to kill people. I could have very much been born in a different family. So it's always important, I guess, to think about the root causes, about the fact that many people can't really choose much of the stuff that they stand for later on in life. That kids are not really responsible for the things that they say, or where they are and how they die.
Yeah, and I was talking on Vocab's channel the other day. I still want to make a video about this because I think I know how to explain and help people understand this a bit more. But prison, right? Prison. You've got prison. In prison, again, talked about this before, but in prison you have inmates, of course, and some of those inmates are Christians, some of those inmates are Muslims, some of them are 5%ers, Nations of Islam, all kinds of groups, and so on. Some of the inmates are some of the best people you've ever met. Some of them are horribly evil people. And you've got all those people together in one spot. And guess what? They all view themselves as a community that is united against the administration and the guards, right? And like the worst thing you can do, even worse than being like a child molester or something like that, is to be a snitch. You are betraying your own people, your own community, and you're selling out to the guards and the administration and so on. Now, this is interesting. The guards are like that too. If a messed up guard, you do have messed up guards. If you have a messed up, sadistic guard who likes to mess with inmates and like get them in trouble and things like that, another guard is not going to speak against him, or it can happen, but the guards will all protect each other. Same thing lots of times with police. You can have a scumbag police officer. His other fellow police officers generally are not going to expose him, because then you're a rat. Notice you've got the same no snitch rule that prison inmates have. Anyway, long story short is you've got everyone together, and even though it is a mix of some decent people and some completely evil people, you still view yourself as a community, and they are the enemy. The administration, the guards, the COs, those are the enemies. And the guards kind of look the same way. Like, this is like, we have to protect each other way more than we need to care about these guys. So even if a guard is doing something messed up to the inmates, we still have to remain true and loyal to our community. And so I think I can understand why, like, even Palestinian Christians are generally do not have a positive view of Israel. And while they would, of course, condemn Hamas and so on, they still view themselves as way more of a common community with Palestinian Muslims than they do with Israel.
Yeah. I think I'm done with this, David.
You're done with this awesome interview?
Yeah, I think I'm actually I don't know, man. It's like I feel disturbed by it. I feel kind of disgusted by
Really?
it.
I thought it was awesome. I thought this is awesome.
Maybe it's just a bad day. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably been dealing with too much negativity for the past couple weeks, and then this guy, he's way funnier than, like, Hijab or someone is trying to be. But
yeah, but it's just he's like I don't know.
But he's still making points. He's still saying the same things that you're dealing with other people saying all day long.
Yeah, but it's just I feel like I find it very hard to watch this and to somehow laugh about this stuff and to see him. It's just another attempt at I don't know, justifying and rationalizing the terrorism and the sources of it, and then talking about the whole blame shifting and everything, the whole sarcastic attitude, the whole mockery of all of it. It's just I don't know. It makes me sick, to be honest. It really makes me sick. This whole day I saw just people be hateful to each other, be hateful about each other, people like encouraging all kinds of horrible things. I don't know. Then this person being stabbed to death right here in Detroit after all the Free Palestine protests and all of that. It's I don't know. I really have no patience for the whole camp at the moment.
Whereas me, I'm thinking of it more along the lines of like, I still, for some reason, always break people down into, would I get along with this guy? All else held, if he didn't hate someone like me, like in other words, we've talked about this before. Like some of the Dawa guys we would get along with if they didn't hate us, and other guys we wouldn't get along with even if they agreed with us on everything, because they're creepy people. But this guy, I don't know. I just look at him and I say, he'd probably be fun to hang out with and argue with for a bit.
Possibly.
Hey, everyone is saying, it depends. Based on this, he seems hilarious to me. But he could just be really good at what he does. In other words, it's like, how bad is he underneath? Like, does he know he's misrepresenting something and giving a bad argument or something like that? You have people trying to get your attention to something.
My wife said, by the way, he's trying to sanitize Hamas and the anti-Semitism scene around the world. And I would agree with.
Someone's trying to get your attention to something. A video Tatiana sent you, and people are saying play Gad Saad's response to this guy. I don't know if they're referring to the same thing.
Is it long? Is it?
I don't know.
Let's see.
Am I psychic?
Tatiana.
Is that what you're condemning me for? Not being psychic?
Yeah. Yes. I don't see the link. Where's the link? I think. Let's see.
Didn't she put it in a super chat earlier? Check your super chats.
Check my super chats.
Wait, Curtis just put a.
I'll just look for it quickly. Gad Saad, Bassem. I like Gad Saad. I like Gad Saad. All right, let's see.
Hi, everybody. This is Gad Saad. Third clip of the day. I was just trying to exercise, watch a bit of TV, maybe do a bit of reading.
See, look how he does it. He'll do quick reactions instead of like 3-hour reactions like we do.
You guys always pull me back in. I was tagged on an exchange between Piers Morgan. I appeared on the show last week, and Bassem Youssef, who is a Egyptian TV host and supposed satirist. And so I was very keen to watch this because I thought, okay, well, let's see what the exchange is going to be. I'll put the link to the exchange between the two of them, and you can go then, listen to the words that I'm going to share now, which I just posted as a long Twitter thread, and you can contrast what I said with the context of what.
Imran said Zionism is acting in an impotent rage and will reap the whirlwind they are sowing. I'm not sure if you are aware right now, buddy, but you are just here indirectly feeding the very same narrative that is causing these deaths, and it will not end very well, because right now what it looks like is that the whole dream of Gaza will be over forever.
Hey, you should tell him, how about no?
Yeah.
How about no? I don't buy your Ella.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Youssef was spouting on the show. So let me just read it out, and then I can add some additional comments. I just watched the exchange between Bassem Youssef and Piers Morgan. First, I thought that Piers was incredibly gracious and generous in granting Mr. Youssef the opportunity to lecture for nearly 30 minutes. By the way, every single affectation, gesticulation, rhetorical device that Bassem was using is like grade 2 stuff for me. I come from that region. I know satire.
Okay, Tatiana said this is the actual video that I made. Let's see what this is.
ملفقين مغول وترك تمويل ثوار الأسد لكم دولة. الملك فهد يوم ريغان يطلب منه تمويل ثوار الكونترا قال له وحده بوحده ابي دوله لفلسطين قال له ابشر ووقع الخطاب دوله لفلسطين وعلم الملك فهد عرفات انه حصلنا دوله فلسطينيه. هرب عرفات ما شافوه الا بعد 10 سنين من هالكلام هذا. هرب ما يبي دوله فلسطينيه. كلكم ما تبون دوله فلسطينيه لان اساسا ما لكم قضيه ولا لكم دوله ولا لكم ارض. هذه ارض اسرائيل بالقران وانتم شتات رومان ملفقين مغول وتركمان وشركس وارمن وغجر. ما لكم حق بفلسطين. فلسطين هذه دوله اسرائيليه لبني اسرائيل. وبني اسرائيل لمعلوميتكم بني اسرائيل هذولا عيال اسحاق وحنا يا العرب عيال اسماعيل. واسحاق واسماعيل اخوين ابوهم ابراهيم.
He said, so they are the sons of Isaac, we are the sons of Ishmael. I would say that is by now considered pseudo-science and not entirely accurate, not true. But
That's
yeah,
not the real point he's trying to make here, man.
I know, I agree with it, but I just want to point that out.
ابراهيم عليه السلام.
You're a nitpicker, a nitpicker.
منين جيتوا؟ انتم وش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ انتم يا الشتات يا الغجر يا المغول يا التركمان يا الشركس يا الرومان يا بقايا الشعوب. ايش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ ايش دخلكم بالسالفه؟ ايش دخلكم بيننا؟ هذا بني اسرائيل على ارضهم. ما لكم ارض انتم ولا لكم قضيه يا جماعه. انتم ادوختونا واشغلتونا. والاقصى الاقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم اقصى. ما في شيء اسمه اقصى. في شيء اسمه القدس. المسجد الاقصى اللي ورد ذكره هو بالجعرانه 29 كيلو على الطائف. وكان المسجدين المسجد الاقصى.
Yeah, okay, go watch the video. It looks interesting. Go watch the video. Christian Prince posted it. It's called Muslim Saudi. Who are they? The Palestinians. We also, by the way, have Hamas spokespeople themselves saying that Palestinians are not really a thing. It's just a nation that came together by people who are from Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Jordan and things like that. But you know what? It doesn't matter to it. I feel like this is just a lot of talk about something that in the end shouldn't really matter. What should matter is that at the beginning of the last century, a land was taken. The land was taken by the British from the Ottomans, who took it by force and ran it as their own property as well. It was then the public land was distributed to the Jewish people to build a home for Jews, and they had every right to do that. And also there were private lands owned by Arabs there. Lots of the private land was bought by the Jews, by the Zionists from the Arabs. Lots of other land was not bought. It still stayed part of their land. So nothing at all was taken by force, was taken through invasion, was taken through any of that stuff up until the Arabs began inciting a civil war where the Zionists initially only defended themselves, but then also began fighting, where you then saw militant Jewish groups emerge. And while the idea at first by the British was to establish one state, which would be a Jewish state where Arabs and Jews live equally, they quickly realized it does not work. So what they decided instead at the United Nations was to partition that land and give much of the land owned by Jews and the unpopulated land to the Jews, and give the rest of it, much of it was populated by Arabs, to the Arabs, so that they could both have states there, live separately, and find peace. And of course, the Zionist side said, okay, yeah, whatever, we'll just accept that. And the Arab side said, nope, we are not accepting this. We want all of it. So the British left, the partition, the mandate was over. The Zionists declared their own state, called it Israel, said, we acknowledge that the Arabs will probably build their own state and call it Palestine. And that's actually how good and how okay they were with the situation. And what the Arabs did, instead of building that state, was to ally with 5 Arab nations and to attack Israel with the aim of taking all of it and turning it into one land, which would become their own state, or it would become part of Egypt, or part of Jordan, or part of Syria, or part of one great Arab nation. This is what happened. And it all started there, when at that point, the Arabs could have chosen to simply establish a state for themselves, which even the Jews were ready from the very beginning to acknowledge. The Arabs rejected it. And to this day, we are still suffering the consequences of that. If you think that somehow people came in and invaded and grabbed that land and all of that, yes, of course, over the years, especially after that first war in 1948, Israel did grab land. Israel did take more than was actually assigned to them during the UN partition plan. But can you blame them? I personally don't blame them. I would have taken all of it. If I was a person in that place, I would have taken all of it. I would have said, get out of here. I'm taking all of this. Because they had a plan to establish two states in that region. And the Arabs didn't want that plan. They wanted to take all of it and eradicate the Zionist entity. And Israel, as a result of winning wars over and over and over again, simply expanded and took more than they were assigned to. If it was me, if I was a person and I was Israel, I would kick them out and take all of it at that point in the 1940s. Go cry, come here and cry about colonialism, about expansion, about this and that. It's all their fault. I don't care. That's it. Nakba, you say, Nukakula, you say Nakba. Nakba is what happened with the moving of Arabs from the regions who were not allowed to come back anymore, which I think is completely justified. Half of them or so, many of them, 700,000 was estimated, many of them left by themselves because they wanted to leave because there would be war, with the idea when things calm down and the Zionists are finally gone, we will come back and we will have this land. Some of them were, many of them were also expelled by the Zionists as a result of all of this. And the Zionists, after that, said, sorry, we will not allow those people who left to come back and live here. That's it. Is it justified? I think yes, it is.
It would be good if an alternative narrative becomes more popular. I mean, as far as their standard narrative, which has holes in it, as you pointed out right there. So their standard narrative in this case is, there's a people group that's been there a really, really long time. Israel came in, and a bunch of Jews came in and kicked everyone off their land and so on. But it would be good if that guy who was speaking, that Saudi guy who was speaking, it would be good for, hey guys, who are these Palestinians? Come on, the Jews are supposed to have a spot. The Jews are supposed to have a spot. That's cool with us. That would be a good message to spread, so that there is at least an alternative view towards the standard narrative in the Muslim community.
Yeah. You are justifying colonialization, said somebody. I'm not sure what you think you are saying. First off, there is nothing inherently bad about colonialism. It depends on what exactly the details of that colonialism are. But secondly, in this case of Jews settling in the land Palestine, as it was known then, that is not a case of colonialism where a completely foreign culture comes and just settles there. It was simply Jews were there all along. Jews were there for millennia. The colonialism that took place there, and it was called colonization project. There was for other Jews to come there and live there, and this is publicly known. That was the Zionist project. That was the project. That was getting Jews who feel like they should have a home on their own because they experience repeated persecution. They should come there and live there in a land that is now controlled by the British and settle there and build a home there, in addition to the Jews who already were there. And yes, before they began to establish their own state, they didn't take any land by force. They bought the land that they have and got the rest of it, which was public or unclaimed, from the British authority, which was in charge of that place. That's it. There is nothing here to complain about. If you want to complain about this, go complain about half the Muslim world. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. If you think that this is somehow that all of this is bad, all of this is so bad, let's go back. Yeah, sorry, that's gone, man. It's over. You can't go back to before the Arabs declared wars and had their lands grabbed by that force which they wanted to eradicate to begin with. You can't go back there. Sorry, it's not possible. You didn't want to be okay with the situation. You lost, and then you started complaining about no. This is not how it should be done. Let's go back. Let's go back. I was just joking. I didn't want to fight. Sorry, it's over. It's gone. You can now complain. You can just complain forever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I care about those who die in this conflict. If you cared about the lives of the people who would die today, then you wouldn't be stuck on this ideological bullshit about people coming and grabbing your land and kicking you out and whatever that is. I'm not justifying genocide, Freebird. You are justifying genocide by sticking to this idiotic narrative. There is no genocide that took place.
Are you getting emotional?
These people, man. 60 IQ population coming here and talking about... Matt Gall said there are Aboriginal Orthodox Christians in Gaza, but have you ever heard about a Christian suicide bomber in Gaza? Me neither. Currently, the Christian population in Gaza is at, I think, 1,000 to 2,000 people, and it was at one point extremely high. So
and notice, me and Robert were talking about this the other day, where everyone's saying, but they're being oppressed, and that's why they're committing acts of terror and so on. And yet, every time there's a story coming out of Pakistan about a mosque being bombed, it turns out to be some other sect of Islam, and not the Hindus and Christians who are actually being oppressed there. So interestingly, it just seems to be some Muslim group or another that regularly concludes that the way to deal with any sort of problem in society is to start waging terrorist attacks.
Yeah. Random okay said PLO is more moderate than Hamas. Yeah, just like Al Qaeda is more moderate than ISIS.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, in modern times they turned quite moderate compared to Hamas.
Yeah, but I mean, Al Qaeda was more moderate than ISIS.
Yeah. PLO actually engaged in a possible two-state solution. But yeah, again, they have a long terrorist past as well. Shadow God said, if 85% of people dying are civilians in Gaza, that's a failure by Israel. Name another war where 85% of those who die are civilians. We talked about this endlessly. Yes, people shouldn't die. Yes, the deaths are unacceptable. Yes, it's bad. But how do you expect to solve the situation? Jack said, Islam, how peaceful. Notice this, or you Muslim? Yes. Sid Dave said, wish Bassem also cried for Coptic Christian girls kidnapped in Egypt and Hindu girls in Pakistan. These people only cry for Muslims, not for anyone else.
Hey, I just looked it up. For World War II. It is believed that 60 to 67% of all deaths were civilian fatalities.
Yeah.
So the most casualties, even though there you actually had armies who they're not hiding behind anything. You actually had armies of soldiers and tanks and so on marching out against each other. And yet, in spite of that, 60 to 67%. So somewhere around 2/3 of the deaths were civilian deaths. The idea that you can just go in and surgically remove one person. You can do that. If you have thousands of people embedded, the idea that you're just going to go in there and not hit any civilians and no civilians are going to, it's a fantasy. You don't understand how war actually works.
Yeah. And as said, I'm sick of this gaslighting and guilting and blaming and saying, oh, so you justify genocide, so you want civilians to die. No, I don't. Which is why I say stop following these ideological dumb attempts at still keeping the fight going and still hoping to go to the past and to destroy Israel or take the borders back. I just put up the research recently. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I just put the research up recently. The majority of Palestinians still say that a two-state solution is not enough. They would eventually want to go on until all of the region belongs to them. And you say, and you think it's me and people like me on the other side who want to keep the fighting and the deaths going? Seriously? Seriously? Here, I can put it up again. This is by this is a bipartisan the Washington Institute and the Palestinian Policy something research 2020. West Bank respondents, not even Gaza. If the Palestinian leadership is able to negotiate a two-state solution with Israel, do you think that this should be the end of the conflict, or that resistance should continue until all of historic Palestine is liberated? Meaning all of it, meaning getting rid of Israel. 62% say resistance should continue until all of historical Palestine is liberated. Only 26% in 2020 say this should be the end of the conflict with Israel. In Gaza, surprisingly,
so wait. Just to be clear, so those people are saying, if Israel gave us our own country right now, and we actually completely control the country, we are now our own country, that's just the beginning.
Yes.
You're saying only a quarter of people say, okay, if they give us our own country, then we're
Yes.
good. Then
Yes.
we're good. Even Stephen, most of the people say, nope, not
and look, there's one more point here to be made, a very crucial, a very important point. This is only West Bank. Here is Gaza. People say, well, Gaza is being treated very badly. They don't have water. They don't have this. They don't have that. Of course, they will react like that. Look at this. In Gaza, 58% say we should continue. 40% say, oh, you know what? End of conflict. We settle for a two-state solution. In the West Bank,
so West Bank's
even
actually more
radical.
hostile. Yeah,
yes.
The West Bank is more radical.
West Bank has much more freedom than Gaza, and in the West Bank, only 26%.
Yeah, I've been to the West Bank, and so based on this, yeah, they're actually more radical.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, look at this. Some idiots out there want to gaslight and want to say, oh, so you want dead people, so you want war, you want genocide. If Israel stopped, everything would be okay. Here is the graph. Here are people responding by themselves, bipartisan research. It says 62% of the people, of the Palestinians, say even if Israel gave us our own state, even if we reached a two-state solution, we should still not stop. We should fight until we get all of it back. I'm sorry, I am not the one who is genocidal. I'm not the one who is warmongering. I'm not the one who likes to fight. It is the Palestinian people themselves, according to them, who want to keep fighting even if peace is settled. With that, stop gaslighting, stop bullshitting me, stop this nonsense. Anyway.
Emotional.
Kevin James Johnson said, don't forget 2 billion people died. And some Muslim here comes and says, you're a liar. I'm giving you the research, you idiot. Don't forget 2 billion died at the Al-Aqsa hospital when Israel didn't provide Islamic Jihad with the proper training to use their weapon system properly. Free Palestine. Yeah. That was the hoax, yeah. Search Scripture said, look closer at the graph. The red represents injuries and the blue represents deaths. Oh, not this graph. This is the other graph. This was much earlier. Injuries. Neither is good, but it's deceptive if you don't look closer. That's true. That's true. David the Goliath said, Muslims have no problem stealing lands from others. Istanbul, creation of Pakistan being examples. If someone does it to them, then it's a problem. Yeah, and honestly, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. It's somehow so horrible when I say I do not care, and I'm just talking about borders. But the very same people will come here and say, yes, you should be killed for leaving Islam. Yes, apostates should be executed. Yes, if people resist the expansion of Islam, they deserve it. I don't care. And that's totally fine.
AP, you are under multiple death sentences according to our religion. Now help us condemn the Jews.
I don't care.
Help us condemn the Jews, AP.
I don't care. I don't care.
You're sick. You are sick. You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
Yeah. Jeff Dribble said, when I suggested his interview was compelling, I really meant he's a fantastic manipulator. If I didn't research myself, I would have believed him. My honest opinion is that probably a lot of the pro-Palestine population takes very good stuff from this and thinks this guy did an amazing job in debunking Piers Morgan, and the standards, the bar for that is just extremely low. You know, like whatever. You can impress them with anything. I could just sit here instead of talking about facts and research, go like, "Who are you, Piers Morgan? How dare you? You how dare you? If I come in front of you, you will poop your pants." And I would get lots of likes and lots of views and lots of shares and lots of lots of praises and all of that. I would have to be more vulgar, of course. I was just giving you a very, very soft example of what I would actually say if I was Mohammed Hijab, for example. Right?
You're sick. You are sick.
Beatrice said, I wonder if any of you two would like to have content translate to Portuguese to reach Brazil, Portugal, etc. If people want to do it, they can feel free to do it. Yes, that's what I want to say. Splow TV said, this honest dog's barking, begging for attention. I don't know what he's talking about. I think he's talking about Hamas or the Free Palestine protests. I don't know. Kevin James Johnson, but I appreciate it. Did you guys hear what he just said? You transfer your guilt to us, referring to Jews after World War II. This is a pretty common anti-Semitic trope in the Islamic world regarding the use of scapegoat by Jews. I got that. I caught that. But it's like I got so used to this whole stuff that I don't even react to it anymore. DR said, TikTok worship The Rock. Someone make my graph. Curtis, we already responded to this. Thank you. DR said, AP, how much dollar required to get Prophet Tales Part 2, including graphic design, sound, script, voices, editing, etc. Someone started GoFundMe for it. I wanted to start a GoFundMe for that a while ago. But I don't know.
Yo, I just looked it up since you were ranting and crying and getting emotional about them wanting to brutally murder you in the name of Allah for
liar! You're a liar.
Yes.
I looked it up. It said 89% of people in the Palestinian territories want Sharia to be the official law of the land, and 66% of those say that anyone who leaves Islam should be executed.
No.
So 66% of 89%. That means right around 59%.
No, it can't be true. No.
59% of Palestinians believe you should be executed, but you should be defending.
No, but if
you should be defending the people who actually want you to be executed, AP.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This is
then you're an Islamophobe. If you do not go over there right now and let them put you to death for apostasy, you are a racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot, and frankly, I can't do shows with you anymore.
No, I will with my being, with my feelings, with my mind, with my blood, with my body, with everything that I have, defend them, and I will help them create a state in which people like me will be executed. I will do this. I'm a good guy. I'm a useful idiot.
Notice you could do what Bassem does, but in reverse, right? You could make a video saying, you know, I agree with Bassem. I agree with all these guys. These guys I agree with Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawud. They're making great points. So what I want to do is I want to go there and help them build a country and then build the scaffolding, which they will use to chop my head off. Yeah. And then hang my corpse from to be an example. I want to. Yes, I want to. Who's going to pay my ticket? Who's going to give me my ticket?
And by the way, you said someone brought up a good point. 89%. So what about the other 11%? Yeah. So,
you see,
Mr. Krang is. Does it also say how many of them say that gay people should be killed or something? Does it say anything like that?
I'll have to find it again.
I know for a fact that only according to the surveys.
Here we
go. What does it say?
The word gay is not there.
Homosexuality, gay, relationship, same sex. I know that 5% of of the Palestinian population say homosexuality is acceptable. The others say it's completely it's should be condemned. Lots of them think that they should be killed. But then we have these LGBTQ plus people going around saying, "Yeah, free Palestine, with their flags." Maybe they should go over there and wave their flag and see what happens.
I'm still looking, but yes, 84% of the people who favor Sharia say that stoning should be the penalty for adultery.
Terrible.
Robbery.
Terrible. Adulterers don't support Palestine. That could be a new movement. Adulterers for Palestine. Historical fact: in 1970, the Jordan army killed 3,500 to 5,000 Palestinians when they partook in trying to overthrow the government that kindly let them in. Yeah. And also a very big, very large presence of secularist, communist, and also other Palestinian movements which were active there, had operations there. It's pretty messed up. The real massacre said there was no decapitation. They only burned them.
Yeah, I've actually been confused about that. Like, if you kill someone and then chop the head off, I'm confused as to why. And if you're using decapitation as a means of execution, it's kind of, I mean, unless you're slow about it, it is one of the better ways to execute someone. If you have something fast, like a good chop, something like this, not where you're like holding him down and slowly sawing through his neck and stuff like that. Because I've often thought that would actually be a cool way to go for me, because I could be talking trash and stuff like while they're sawing through my throat. But I don't understand. It's like, okay, what we're saying is, yeah, they killed a bunch of people, but they didn't behead them afterward. They didn't chop their heads off.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, so they're like massacring them in their cars and stuff like this, and going through houses and killing people in their beds and stuff. But come on, beheading? We're not monsters here. Come on.
Yeah, don't be ridiculous. What are you accusing us of? Man. Tatiana said, "Did you see Michaela Peterson's interview yesterday? Muslims bombarded her comment section with praises for the Jewish Palestinian sympathizer. He called Gaza a concentration camp. They used to get 450 trucks of aid daily." I saw that she had an interview with a guy, and then with what's his name, Finkelstein. Is that his name? I don't know. That very
why do you deliberately mispronounce Jewish names, AP?
Very pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist Jewish researcher guy, Norman Finkelstein. Yeah, here.
Hey guys.
Hey guy. Hi.
Section 152 of the Penal Code in Gaza criminalizes male consensual same-sex activity and makes it punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment.
Yeah, she talked to Norman Finkelstein, who is a darling of the Muslim pro-Palestine side, and has been like they've been using this one person for like decades now. It's so funny. I don't know. Yeah, no, I saw it, but I didn't watch it. I would have to have a look at it. Traven Holloway said, "I listened to a Palestinian pastor who was American. He said that he thinks Israel is overreacting, and why the Jews had to come in 1948, not earlier, and Palestine is in the Bible." David, what do you want to say about
that? Yeah, a couple issues there. So, Palestinian pastor who's American said he thinks Israel's overreacting. You can make a case for Israel saying that they're going too far, or they should be more. You can make cases like that. What we've been asking is like tell us exactly. Tell us what they should be doing here. But you're right. Even just
Exactly. Yeah.
Just from the way people are going to view the world. I mean, let's suppose they go in there, they completely wipe out Hamas, but the entire Gaza Strip is left in rubble, and people are stuck there. And
did you just
still
say Gaza strippers? What did you say?
Yeah, Gaza strippers. You've seen, we got the Mohammed hijab video. We know he's a part-time stripper. That was showing it. He was showing his support for Palestinian strippers. Yeah, so I mean, the point is, just imagine they're entirely successful and they completely wipe out Hamas. If they've enraged a good portion of the world, who are then calling for the annihilation of Israel even more, the point is, this might not even work out to their tactical, future advantage. Overreacting and why the Jews had to come in 1948, not earlier. What are you talking about? They were coming there earlier. They got their state after World War II because it was agreed upon that the Jews needed a homeland because they could no longer depend on being protected by other nations, because it turns out other nations can just round them up, put them in cars and take them to concentration camps and kill millions of them. And people are going to just take their time in stopping it. So the Jews say, hey, can we at least have one spot in the world that's actually ours? And that was British land at that point. It had been taken after the after the Ottoman Empire fell. And so they had that was British controlled land. The British said, hey, we're going to have this part here, and Jews get to control that by themselves. They're going to have part of this land.
Yeah.
So that's why it happened in 1948 and not some other time.
Yeah, Sheriff said, so you take other people's land? No, nobody actually took someone else's land.
I can tell you who took other people's land. Muhammad, a lot.
Yes. And finally, Palestine is in the Bible. Is Palestine in the Bible? And
AP.
What?
AP.
What?
Speaking of taking people's land, should we actually, I wasn't sure, because there are a couple things. I know Fareed responded to one of my videos, so I was thinking about that for tomorrow, but we've been talking at various points. Should we actually do a show where we go through Muhammad's interactions with the Jewish tribes in Medina and actually look at what according to Muhammad was justification for either expelling or completely wiping out entire tribes of Jews? Should we actually do that tomorrow?
You mean like when just because of a little dispute between two people, he actually eradicated a tribe of Jews?
Yeah, so
for example,
long story short, I mean, I'll have to review. If I recall correctly, there were three tribes there: the Kenuka, the Nadir, and the Kareza Jews. These were the three clans. The first one, they were craftsmen, and there was a prank. A Jewish guy played a prank on a Muslim woman and nailed her dress to a bench or something like that where she was sitting down. They did something to where when she stood up, her rear was exposed. And then a Muslim goes and kills a Jew. And then the Jews kill the guy who killed a Jew. It escalates. And Muhammad says, you're all expelled. You're all expelled. Your entire tribe is expelled. Leave your stuff here. So leave the tools of your trade. And then so the Muslims actually take over as the craftsmen of the area. So that was the first tribe. The second tribe, the Bani Nadir, they, if I recall correctly, Muhammad just walks out one day and says, I have a dream that they are going to assassinate me.
Yeah. Yes,
and that's okay. Well, yeah, we'll take care of these guys. So they were exiled as well. And then the final tribe.
Yeah, Kat said the prank was lame. Not going to lie, I know. Yeah, the prank was kind of stupid. So maybe they deserved it.
Yeah, and then the Kareza Jews, they get exterminated for trying to work with the Meccans against Muhammad. But even in that situation, Muhammad knew exactly who was responsible. He knew which leaders were responsible for doing that, and yet he punished, dare I say it, collectively the entire population. Like everyone who the men, any male who had reached puberty so they're having these guys drop their pants right in front of everyone. Any male who had reached puberty was sentenced to death. Everyone else became slaves.
Perfect opportunity to
the entire population, collective punishment.
A perfect opportunity to impress the crowd.
That's what I mean. According to that standards, where you know, oh, someone played a prank, therefore you punish the entire population. Like if you actually, a prank on you is justification for just completely kicking you out of the land that you've lived in for centuries.
We're proud of that.
What about people who just keep trying to terrorize you? And notice there was a plot. It was a plot, right? So that was a prank. Then the claim about the Crusades Jews was they were plotting with the enemies. If you say, okay, they're plotting with the enemies, therefore you can completely wipe out and exterminate them. Have Palestinians been plotting against Jews? Of course. Were they doing it even back before? Yes, they were. The Grand Mufti of Jerusalem was working with Hitler. Say, hey, once you clear things up down here, you're going to come down here. We're going to wipe out all the Jews. So there's an actual plot. According to Muhammad himself, the Jews would have been justified in absolutely exterminating the Palestinians for plotting against them, even though the name hadn't existed yet. But they would have been entirely justified, according to Muhammad, wiping them out. And yet Muslims are the one. You've got Muhammad hijab sitting there saying it's because of our religion that we are against all. What the heck, man? Such a nonsense. We might have to take a look at that tomorrow.
Thank you for that 20-minute response to one single super chat. I appreciate it.
Aren't you the guy who goes on for like 7 hours on when anyone says anything that hurts your feelings?
Yes.
We're proud of that.
Sid Dave said Israelis follow Judaism, speak Hebrew, which are indigenous to the region. Palestinians follow Islam, speak Arabic, which are important from Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't really look at it like that. Interesting perspective, but however, most Israelis are actually quite secular, and I think half of them don't even believe in God. But it's just an ethno-religious group, and they're also very genetically mixed. Plus, I mean, yeah, we talked about it earlier. If you want to look at it as inheritance, both of those populations inherited a lot of the stuff that belongs to that region. In the end, the fight shouldn't be about who belongs there. It should be about who is or who was there in recent times. If you want to talk eternally about who belongs there, this will never end. It will never stop. Never. Travis Holloway said, he said Ashkenazi Jews weren't from Abraham. Said who? Who, him? Did he say that?
We don't know, because we don't know when that was from.
I don't know.
We've looked at multiple video clips and stuff, so I don't know what that was talking about.
Yes. Ashkenazi Jews, it's proven, also are related to the populations, although they have more of a mix with European populations. Saint Constantine the Great said after they were conquered, the Canaanites either integrated and interbred with the Israelites or left and traveled to the area now known as Lebanon. Yes. Jean-Michel B said that the land belongs to Neanderthal men 30,000 years ago. Give back the land to them. I know, yeah, I agree. It should be given to the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are the only ones that should really have it.
Dinosaurs deserve the land. Give it to the dinosaurs now.
You know who really deserves it? Bacteria. They were there first.
That's true. Good point. Beatrice said, the guy is cool, but does he have a degree?
I think he actually does. I think he was like in the medical field or something like that. Let me look this up.
Maybe. Eli Shamoon, I want to highlight this again because it was beautiful. Love you both, said he. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bassem Youssef graduated from Cairo University's Faculty of Medicine, majoring in cardiothoracic surgery in 1998. Passed the United States medical licensing examination and has been a member of the Royal College of Surgeons since February 2007. My goodness, he's
so basically no degree then. Basically,
he's a cardiothoracic surgeon, and he just decides to do political satire. That's hilarious. That guy's awesome. That's funny. I don't know why you hate him so much. He's awesome.
Yeah, so no degree then, I guess. Sheikh Yogi Bear became a member. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You even know who Yogi Bear is.
Isn't that some old cartoon character from like the...
Yeah, but you grew up in Germany, so you would have the German version of cartoons, which would be bloodbaths.
Yeah, well, that's how we roll. Hellenic Boy said, did you guys see the anti-Muslim demonstration in Norway? A Quran was covered in pig's blood in front of a mob. I didn't see that.
Well, I mean, the one thing we should all be concerned about is not hurting people's feelings under any circumstances.
Yeah, and please don't be Islamophobic in the chat here. I don't tolerate it. This is a cool frame to have paused it on. Look at this. Look how he looks.
No, I know that. He's got resting, cool, kind of crazy eyes.
Yes. One tribe in Christ said, Mr. and Mrs. AP love you and want you saved. Jesus is coming. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm not in a terrible mood right now. Otherwise, if you say something like, I will pray for you or something like that, I normally go crazy. And
he does. He just goes
very
off.
angry. Yeah. David the Goliath said, for all the pain and suffering that Muslims inflict on women, religious minorities, I have lost any sympathy for them when they are genuinely oppressed. Yeah, I wouldn't look at it that way. And I would still say, I would still just say that I call you to appeal to the human side in you and to understand that the other side are not, animals and are not collectively bad. It's hard to recall that part of yourself, but we are all humans. Most people just do what they believe is right, even if what they believe is right may be very messed up and very wrong from your perspective, or from most people's perspective. Yeah. Sheikh Yogi Bear said, I think God has condemned this guy on X.
I think that's earlier when people were saying we should check out Gad's reply.
It's God, not Gad.
Gad, not calling him.
Flames of Zoroaster said, advice for someone starting a channel like yours. Love you both. Keep up the great work. The root cause is Muhammad to all this, an infection of the mind. If you want to go back and look at the first video that I published on my own channel, it was it was completely trashy. I was in front of a window and just started leaning forward and talking into the camera, and I started getting like hundreds of subscribers, and it just went there from that. So nobody gave me advice. It's just really about how you present yourself and what you do and stuff like that. It just comes somehow.
Yeah, I would say figure out what you want to talk about, figure out who your target audience is, start gearing content towards them. There's lots of stuff that we discover over time, that we figure out over time, but you don't need to reinvent a lot of things. So you can watch some tutorials from the channels that actually explain how to do YouTube and stuff like that. There are a bunch of channels where they explain how to do things. And apart from that, it's just kind of getting started. Once you get started, yes, your videos are going to suck. Your first video probably, unless you're just like just total natural, your first video will probably not be very good. And then when you make your second one, you try and make it better. And then you make your third one and you try and make it better. And pretty soon you're making good videos and getting tons of views like AP.
Yeah. Black Angel said AP seemed high back in the days. That's because I was, probably.
Yeah. He's an atheist. What else is he going to do?
Judge Wu said, you just ignoring
see that? See, Muhammad Hijab, he's like, AP, if I were you, I would commit suicide. Say, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I just sit around high all day. Sit around high all day watching porn.
Judge Wu said, they just ignored my donation for 20 plus miles. It's unbelievable. I don't know what that means. Are you talking about a super
He's probably
chat?
driving, listening to you.
Oh, because I don't. I'm just looking through my super chats right now, and I don't see any super chat from Judge Wu.
Ooh, he's lying. He's acting like he contributed when he actually didn't.
I don't know. Maybe it didn't go through. Maybe it's censored because he typed something in there that's not supposed to be there. I don't know, but I genuinely don't see a super chat from him.
Or
yeah,
it's a Jewish conspiracy.
Probably, most likely.
We're proud of that.
Flames of Zoroaster said, Samuel Tawheed said, I made a 4-minute edited clip of this guy. Good, publish it. Send it to me too. Follower of the Christ said, if men get 72 virgins in Islamic heaven, what do women get? They get nothing. They can just be happy with that. And that's
it's crazy because in reality, you are still the wife of your husband if you go to paradise. But he gets his wives from Earth, and he gets his horis, these specially designed sex machines. And so you're in competition, and women are said to stand in corners. You're not allowed to talk to women in the other corners, and then you just basically wait for your husband to say, "Hey, come, I want sex right now."
Fantastic.
And so you come over there and have sex. And other than that, you're standing in a corner, and you're not. Be careful. Muhammad specifically said you're not allowed to talk to women in the other corners.
That's amazing, man. Perfect. Looks
Powerful.
like a perfect. Sounds like a perfect place. Very, very perfect place for some trashy piece of work people who, yeah, just want that. It almost sounds like Daniel Hikiku's pleasure machine. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. Not sure. Might be just me. Hellenic Boy said, "Is it wrong to have no position on this conflict at all?" Yes, it's wrong. Shame on you. Shame on you. You make me sick.
You're sick. You are sick.
I feel neither enmity nor kinship with either side of this war. No, I mean it's you don't have to feel anything for everything. You don't have to feel everything for anything. You don't have to have a position on this. It's completely okay.
Yeah, so you can say, well, it's got nothing. I have no dog in this fight, and actually, you do, whether you know it or not, right? Because what these guys want to do to Israel, they eventually want to do to you too. And if they actually win against Israel, they'll have quite a bit of momentum there. And again, they want to do that to the entire world.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yes, my two Max Pesos said, "My two favorite people finally catch a live from AP. Here are some shekels, but stop stuttering."
His two favorite. What is he talking about? Bassem and Piers Morgan?
Probably me and Piers Morgan.
Or me and Bassem.
Possibly. How about me and Piers Morgan against you and Bassem?
Or Gad Saad and that Saudi dude.
Or we can just go on forever. Red Kims made a super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Red Kims made a super chat. I appreciate it. Whatever you want to say. Samuel Tawheed said, "Remember that everyone that now is crying about civilian casualties was celebrating Hamas atrocities just 2 weeks ago. They should all be ashamed."
That is important. They were cheering. They were celebrating the hang gliders that were used to swoop down on a concert and massacre a bunch of people. They were definitely bragging about it. And now, hey guys, look at please help us. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Bassem. Samuel Tawheed said, "Remember." Oh yeah, I already read this. I just read this.
Why don't you read it 7 times then?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that everyone was celebrating, but lots of people were, including Mohammed Hijab, for example, who then started crying about the response. Some guy said, "Do you think the Jews and Christians should have tried to help Mohammed instead of rejecting him?" No, I think they should have done worse. But thanks for the super chat. Like, if I could go back in time,
hey, Jews, help Muhammad more.
No, they should have been like, "Hey, it looks like there's something wrong with you, and we feel like we could help you. We could help you understand, like, figure out your problems. Like, get over your weird complex to think that you are superior to everyone, that you deserve to have sex with all of the old, young, and even prepubescent females and all of that." Maybe they could have done something like that. But I always have this thing, like, there was this whole thought project: if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler and stuff like that? I don't think about that, but I feel like if I could go back in time and just go to Muhammad, I would probably, I don't know, talk to him. Traven Holloway said, "Read my super chat from earlier."
One additional thought on that previous tweet. She's thinking, okay, what the real point of the question is, what could people have done differently that wouldn't have this guy screwing up the entire world centuries later? I'll come back to it. I'm going to come back to this in a second. Go ahead.
Good solution. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's very good. Red Kim said, isn't it historically true that the Muslim world has been a refuge for Jews for hundreds of years while being persecuted by Christians in Europe? Not entirely historically accurate. Historically true in some sense. For example, during the Spanish Inquisition, it is indeed true that a lot of the Jews who are considered Sephardic Jews, who were in Spain at that time, did flee and find refuge in Muslim lands in North Africa and in the Middle East, including in the Ottoman Empire, for example. I mean, there is a history of Sephardic Jews fleeing during the Reconquista and the Spanish Inquisition and finding refuge in the Ottoman lands. And in fact, the Ottomans were taking advantage of the situation and basically propagating the idea of, like, you are persecuted there, but here you will find a home. Here we will take care of you. Here we are humans and stuff like that. But they weren't necessarily treated very well. But then again, in the Muslim world, you have lots of pogroms, lots of genocides, lots of mistreatments of Jews, again, throughout history. It was all just a back and forth, which is why the Zionists didn't come up with the brilliant idea to settle in Muslim lands. They came up with the idea to finally build their own land so that they don't have to go through all of that again and again.
Oh, so back to that other question. What could should Christians and Jews have helped Muhammad more, and maybe he wouldn't have become obsessed with slaughtering Jews and Christians. Yeah. So, but notice the problem there. The real problem why the Jews are like playing pranks and things like this, the political problems and the fighting and so on. The real source of that is that they would not acknowledge him as a prophet. So to say they should have done more, genocide. Should they have done more than what you would be saying is, should Jews and Christians have acknowledged Muhammad as a prophet, as a true prophet?
He was a prophet.
And therefore said that, yes, him denying Jesus' death, resurrection, and deity, he's a true prophet.
Of course.
Right? But notice that would mean the end of Christianity, right? You'd have to deny Christianity in order to call him a true
Who cares
prophet.
about Christianity? You have
And
to
that's the only thing that would have stopped him from wanting to exile and eventually subjugate and eventually exterminate.
You have to respect Muhammad. Of course. Spain expelled the Muslims too. Yes, they did. It was called reconquering, and then actually persecuting all of the Muslims and the Jews. And the funny thing is, the Jews were just fell victim to that whole reconquest for no reason at all. It's like the idea was, okay, we don't want to be ruled by Muslims ever again. So, let's get rid of them. And while we're at it, let's also get rid of the Jews and give them the opportunity to convert or to die or to leave. It's like, and that's their situation. Like, in the middle of all of that, somehow they have to go for the Jews as well. Yeah. Somebody said, so Spain is not Europe. I don't know what you're talking about. Isn't that historically true? Here, somebody said with a Hebrew name, which I will pretend I don't know how to read so that my cover is not blown as an Israeli spy, said, how can you ensure that after Gazans get more freedom, they won't be more violent as the West Bank? It's human nature to wish for more after achieving.
Yeah, so you got a couple of issues there. But in theory, it's easier to turn someone into a terrorist if their lives completely suck, right? So in theory, as people's lives become better and they have other things to focus on, and they have more stability, and they just in general got more to lose. You've got I got a home, I got a car, I got a job, I'm sending my kids to college and so on. The more things you have to do and the better your life is, the less time you have to obsess over going and launching terrorist attacks that are going to get you killed and get all your stuff bombed and so on.
Stop the oppression.
Yeah, so that's one issue. The other issue is, what you're saying is that's the problem, right? Like, you can't just say, oh, okay, well, let's just we'll just ignore Gaza, right? Because that's what Israel tried to do. Hey, we'll just we'll build up some really good fences and so on, and then we'll leave them over there. And no, now they're hang gliding over the fences. So now what do you do? So yes, but that's the problem. You can't just say, hey, we're giving you your freedom now, when a ton of them want to come and massacre people.
Yeah, I want to just go to the words of the Hamas founder's son, Bassem Youssef, again, who also says in his book, he basically says that people act like this is only about Israel. People act like this is only about the Zionists, but it's not. He says we know each other very well. If tomorrow the Israelis, took their bags and left completely, and all of this land belonged to us, and we lived only with each other, there would be no peace. We would continue fighting among ourselves over who is in charge, how we manage each other, and so on. The fighting wouldn't end. If we don't make peace with Israel, we aren't going to make peace among each other. That's what he says, and I think that's an important point. Somebody said, "Are you going to watch the rest of the video?" No, we're not. We're done with the video. I'm done with the video.
AP is more interested in hearing himself talk than he is with actually a nuanced discussion that we were having.
I don't care about nuanced discussions. Murray said,
so when Bassem actually asked, "What do you want? You just want me to say I condemn Hamas and then it's over?" AP was like, "Yes."
No, I was like, I don't even want to hear that. I just don't want to hear anything. Murray said, my half Lebanese fake Muslim ex would ask me to be his Hezbollah wife. He's big pro-Palestine. Advice for y'all: avoid dating Muslim men at all costs.
I've heard that from quite a few ladies over the years.
That's what she said. I didn't say that. Yeah. Sid Dave said, Palestinians complain about settler violence, but what about the violence of Muslim immigrants toward native Europeans? I guess that does not count. Of course it doesn't count. What? Don't be ridiculous. It only counts when it's toward them. Yeah. For some reason, I thought this is supposed to say, what about violence in video games? I don't know why I'm thinking that way right now. Dash said, Bassem looks creepy and his jihadi tinged sarcasm is very annoying, not funny. Yeah.
No, I thought it was funny.
A little bit. Impact Globe said, Israel bombing and killing 80,000 people for 60 years is not terrorism. Yeah. So what do you say? Debunked. He just debunked us. What are you going to say, David?
Well, Bassem said he supports it, so.
Yeah, true. That's a. Yep. So it's not terrorism.
And think about the U.S. and British being terrorists against Hitler.
Yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this lengthily. Deaths shouldn't happen. Yes. What's the solution? The solution is to work for a two-state solution to find peace, or if it doesn't work with a two-state solution, to just, I guess, work for a one-state solution and find peace therein, if it's even ever possible. Nobody wants to see this war ongoing. So what are you suggesting? It was Israel that initiated the most important peace processes. They should have continued. Don't support Hamas. Don't support Palestinian resistance movements. David the Goliath said, if Palestine is created, it will be a jihadist state. Under Hamas, most definitely. Under Islamic Jihad and Hamas, most definitely. They want to create an Islamic state that wages jihad and takes all of Israel. And in an ideal future, from their perspective, in a hypothetical future where they got rid of Israel entirely and took all of the land, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't stop there. Pretty sure it would not stop there. They would call for more jihad. Paulson is at Detroit synagogue. President found stabbed to death. Will this make frontline news or not? It already did, I think. Let's see. NY Post, Samantha Wall, synagogue president, Detroit. Let's see. Yeah, it's currently not on as many news as I would expect it to be. But no, it's on CNN, NPR, NBC News, Sky News, Detroit News, New York Post, ongoing. They're still expecting more information on how exactly it happened, who did it, and so on. We'll see. And yeah, while things like these are happening, I really don't care about the Free Palestine protests.
And what kind of news this story turns out to be, what kind of news this turns out to be, is going to depend on who turns up in the investigation.
Yes.
In other words, who reports it and how much emphasis they put on this story is going to have a lot to do with what happened. Is it an old boyfriend or something like that went and killed her? Is it some Christian who did it? Is it a jihadi? Yeah, that's going to have a lot to do with who shares the story and what kind of emphasis they put on it.
Black Angel. Black Angel said, wir sagen Dankeschön und auf Wiedersehen. Schauen Sie mal wieder rein. Denn etwas Schau muss sein. And like this, Apostate Prophet. Isn't this from, this is from one of those cartoons. Wait a minute. This is how in German one of those cartoons ended. Wasn't it Bugs Bunny or something? Wow. That's not, is it that, Black Angel? Tell me, let me know. That's funny. This means we say thank you and see you again. Schauen Sie mal wieder rein, etwas Schau muss sein. How can I even translate that?
You should be closing out your shows like this. Dankeschön und auf Wiedersehen.
Bugs Bunny, yes, that was Bugs Bunny. Nice.
Oh, you guys had German Bugs Bunny?
Yes, we did.
Wow.
Nice.
Did you have German Porky Pig?
What is Porky Pig?
Blee. That's all, folks. That guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yes, we did.
Wait, did you have a German Yosemite Sam?
Yes, we did. Of course,
you did.
Yes.
How do you even do that? How do you even make sense out of them in German?
I don't know.
I liked him because he was just like instant guns blasting, just blah 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 blah.
Yeah. ASD said, according to the Democracy Institute survey published by the Times of Israel, 52% of Israelis consider Africans a cancer. Palestinians are not the only racists. I can say that I don't believe it. Yeah.
I'm still thinking of what a German Yosemite Sam would be like, because he's like,
don't distract from the topic. You've been debunked here.
So he's like, I'm the rootinest, tootinest, blah blah blah. But like in German, ja, ich bin der rootinest, tootinest. It's like would sound stupid. Anyway, I'm sorry.
You know, they probably translate jokes in a different way to make sense in that very same language. So yeah. No, I have to look into this. The Democracy Institute survey published by the Times of Israel, 52% of Israelis. I don't know. I have to see what it actually says and what they actually believe in. But yeah, is it relevant to the current conflict? It's probably
what
not.
would that have to?
Lots of
what
people
would that have to do with something?
I would say, yeah, this is a terrible way to look at different people, and lots of people have very terrible ways of looking at other people. I wouldn't know because I'm familiar with the Turkish nation, which happens to be a very ultra-nationalist and quite racist nation overall. Does it mean they should be? Does it mean that that they are therefore bad and must be fought or anything? No, it doesn't have much relevance to the current war that we're talking about. Israel Ramirez said, hey, what's up? This is very important. I agree with that completely. And thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you. All right. What else? Hellenic Boy said, was it ever explained how Muhammad first came into contact with Christians? He heard some weird Nestorian heresies, but how did he get exposed to them? We will never know. We will never know. But apparently Muhammad had a past where he was a merchant and he went, he probably had a lot of travels between, in the region on the merchant routes, possibly even reaching, Syria, Damascus, I don't know, different places, and hearing all kinds of different stories from Jews and Christians on the way. From early accounts, we know that a lot of Christians who were considered heretical were down there in Arabia at that time. So he might have heard all kinds of different, unpopular Christian beliefs and things like that from different people. I would say that's also possibly how the whole idea of Jesus not being actually killed, but instead of Jesus, somebody else being killed, or that being an illusion. That's probably a belief that he got from surrounding Christian heretics, from Gnostics or something like that. We will never know.
I just looked up the that survey. It's actually reported in the Times of Israel.
Oh yeah.
So it's in the Times of Israel. It's from 2012, so a little over a decade ago. And it's saying that 52% of Jewish Israelis agree with a statement by M.K. Miri Regev that African migrants are a cancer in the body of the nation. So they're talking about Africans who moved to Israel, and yes, 52% of them, of Jewish Israelis, said they agree that this is a cancer to the nation. So the question there would be: are they just saying something about brown people, or are they saying that because they're migrants or something else? But yeah. So anyway, that's in the Times of Israel.
Yeah.
So true story. In other words, true story. If we were doubting it,
true story. Okay. No, I wouldn't doubt it.
But the point was the message that was sent sounded like you're just saying Africans, period. Like Africans are a cancer, whereas they're talking about migrants.
Yeah. I was announced the death writer said AP, his uncle Waraka is an Nestorianism priest. We are aware of that. I'm aware of that, but we don't actually know it wasn't his. It was his wife's, Khadija's cousin, who was Waraka, who was some sort of Christian that he converted to, but we don't actually know what kind of Christian he was.
And we have very little reliable information about Waraka.
Yes, that's
in
true.
other words, this is coming from some very late sources.
Yes,
so it's hard to say here's the situation with Waraka.
Yes, that's true. But according to those reports, Waraka just looked at Muhammad and was like, "Oh yeah, you are a prophet." It's very unlikely that an informed regular Christian in that time would have said that to him.
And by the way, notice you could. I mean, it would be very easy for a Christian or a Jew who hears Muhammad's early revelation. This guy comes right in the middle of a bunch of pagans and says, "Hey guys, there's only one God, and there's only one God, and the Jews and Christians, they have revelation from God, and they have prophets." And you'd have looked at that and go, "Whoa, you got this guy coming out of nowhere telling these pagans that there's one God?"
Whoa.
Someone might think that's a Jew or a Christian at that time might think that is a prophet. But he kept talking.
Yeah.
He kept talking. And eventually he's contradicting a lot of what Jews and Christians said. And so they couldn't accept it.
You're just saying that because you're Islamophobic.
We're saying that because you're a bigot.
Piers and Levinsky audience said the Jews sided with the Muslims in Spain during the occupation because they considered Christians as idolaters. That's why when the Christians got the control back, they started to persecute them. Horrible, but true. Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar with how it went. So I can't really comment on that.
But and I have to say, guys, everyone did some messed up stuff to everyone else at some point, right? Yes. We're in the world right now. Yes, you can go back and here Christians were doing this to Jews. Over here, look, Jews are doing this to Christians. Oh, look, Muslims were doing this to Christians and Jews. Yes, you can go back and you can find various groups hurting each other, helping each other. What in the name of what does that have to do with certain situations that we're dealing with right now?
It means that yes, that's what it means. Impact Globe said, "Do you think Tate can save humanity?"
Well, I mean, he did tweet out that he's the power of God on earth. So if anyone can, it's him.
I think that if anybody has any respect for Tate, they need to be saved from insanity. As for Tate, I think he should just be put away. He should go to prison for a long time. Just because I don't like him, of course. That's it. The magician said, "Gentlemen, what's your thought about Catholicism?" Oh, asking the question here. Now we have here an anti-Catholic bigot who is going to bash Catholicism here.
Yeah, you said he wants us to trash Catholicism.
And then I don't know. What
Notice whatever we say about Catholicism, then it becomes an issue.
Yes. What are you going to say?
Do you believe in Catholicism, AP?
I don't want to say no because there
do you believe?
I think it's an interesting. I have sympathy for it. Look at this. Look, I am holding this right now.
Yeah, he holds that. You see, I mean, he sits there and holds it, and he does his Hail Marys with those.
Yeah, I'm fidgeting with this right now as we speak, and I didn't even notice that until after I read your chat. But yeah, so no, I admire the history and the culture and the architecture, and find it quite interesting. That's all I can say about it as an observer.
Powerful.
Yeah. And David doesn't want the word because I know he's going to just bash Catholicism if I let him speak here.
I will trash that whole thing.
Yeah. Terrible. But yeah, those are our thoughts. Redcam said, "I also left my faith like AP, but the current characterization of the Muslim world is unfair, disregarding its contributions to philosophy, science, and eventual enlightenment in the West."
No. I mean, you can get any history book on philosophy and so on, and history of science, and they'll always include chapters about Islam, but you're completely missing the point. What happens to philosophy in the Muslim world? What happens to science in the Muslim world? What actually happens is Muslims invade an area, they get the books of other people. Some of the Muslims go to the caliph and say, "Hey, we understand this isn't the Quran, but can we investigate this stuff until we find out if it's useful to the Ummah?" And they would get permission, and then they would go do philosophy for a while, and eventually it would be suffocated. So as Islam spreads and gets access to other information, then things would take off for a while, and then Islam would suffocate it. I mean, who goes to the Muslim world to learn philosophy now? Who goes to the Muslim world to learn science now? Who does that? Why? Islam suffocates these things.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say? Were there Muslim philosophers? Yes. Were there good Muslim philosophers? Were there some good Muslim scientists and inventors and engineers and medical people and so on? Yes, there were.
David,
what does that have to do with Islam suffocating it?
Here, this is a comment.
What? Do you can yes or no?
Yeah, let's get back to the comments here because David is talking about some random unrelated things again. Disregarding its contributions to philosophy, science, and eventual enlightenment in the West. So there is no denying, I will not deny, of course, to be very honest, that Muslim civilizations, that some Muslims over the last a few centuries after the emergence of Islam did indeed contribute to the spreading of some of the ideas which you may consider a contribution to knowledge. They didn't come up with them. They mostly found them and spread them. In cultures that Islam took over, people emerged who spread those ideas. And yeah, that's good. That's very nice, of course. Yeah, sure.
Wonderful.
Great, fantastic. Wonderful.
Yeah, yes.
Good.
My question.
But what's the
yeah, my question is always, what have you done for me lately? Right? It's like anyone can, look what we did 1,200 years ago. Okay, well, what have you done for the world lately?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me. I'd like to know. You've got almost a quarter of the world's population. How are you making the world a better place? To be clear, there are Muslims who are making the world a better place, but the idea that we're characterizing it unfairly or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Muslim world has little to no contribution to actual progress, and I'm sorry to say that it sounds a little bit harsh, but not much contribution to scientific advancements, to findings, to philosophy, to art, to enlightenment, to to much of the stuff that's going on in the world. Whenever Muslim culture comes up, whenever Islam comes up, it's just associated with problematic things at the moment. So I don't know. What am I supposed to say about this? I don't think that this is unfair.
You're supposed to say a long time ago there were philosophers and scientists that lasted a little while until it was crushed by Islam.
Yeah, much of the Islamic history was spent fighting and conquering and spreading Islam by force. And this is not something that I'm saying. I mean, the earliest Muslim historians noted that down. Ibn Khaldun prominently says that the obligations of the Muslim ruler are to uphold Islam and to spread Islam by force or by will, and that's what Islam did. I can't just say, okay, they did a few nice things, therefore good. I can say that, but I don't say that. Red Cam said once again, okay, I'm going to read the last 3 super chats that just arrived here, and then I will fly into the world. Red Cam said,
you're going to fly into a rage.
Yes. I want to say the world is cyclical. Islam preserved that knowledge while Christians were burning books without mentioning mathematics, algebra, etc.
This is all stupid and insanely idiotic.
This is a little bit of a misrepresentation of things which changed quite a bit and is mostly based on pop culture back in the day.
Yeah, you had Muslims got access because they took over lands where Jewish and Christian scribes had preserved this information. Then the Muslims had it because they're the ones who conquered these lands and so on. And so, yes, they played a role. And then algebra. What are you talking about?
It says
they had a mathematician who helped in algebra. Yeah. What in the name of common sense is your point? Like, what are you talking about? Yes, some Sufis came up with the idea of making a drink out of these coffee beans that Ethiopians had. Yeah. So what? What are you saying? That we should all be sitting around going, wow, what's really awesome? That Sufi guy who took some coffee beans and made a drink out of it. Let's all celebrate that all day long and think about that great contribution to us drinking. Seriously?
It's not a coincidence that what you call I don't know the European wonder or the sudden extreme development and boost of Western nations who were significantly advanced compared to the rest of the world, which is why the rest of the world failed and fell behind so much, happened under Christian nations. Do you now therefore want to say that Christians were of course better while all the others were bad? That's not really how it works. The Enlightenment thinkers were Christians mostly. The scientific revolution, groundwork, Christians. So much. The printing press happened because of Christianity, and it is one of the most significant developments of the last.
Who needs to talk about that all day long?
Why would I talk about it?
And look, Leibniz and Newton, they came up with calculus. Oh my goodness, we need to talk about how that's great contribution. The entire scientific revolution. It was all Christians, it was Catholics, Protestants, and occasional heretic.
Yeah, I don't care what religion would they belong to. I care about the results of it. Why would I talk about
and then
stuff,
Michael Stein's in there because now people are going to the myth that Islam invented algebra. No, and Michael Stein said didn't the Chinese people know algebra? Yes, the Indians had algebra. I mean, in India, the Babylonians had algebra. The Greeks had algebra. The Egyptians had algebra. They all did algebra. You do. Now they're doing different kinds of algebra and so on. And there were Muslims who improved aspects of it. But think about this. I mean, who sits around? Hey, India, they had algebra. They had algebra in India. We need to celebrate this and talk about it all. Why? Like there's one culture that's like this, that you constantly have to be bragging about something it did 1,200 years ago. Why? Because people have low self-esteem that they're not contributing enough in the world today. And so then in order to make them feel good, you say, but 1,200 years ago, you did this thing.
If I want to proudly mention a group of people again and again and again because of their amazing contributions to the world, I would praise the Germans for all their contributions, including the printing press we just mentioned, and the thinkers, the beautiful way of thinking, of handling things, of bringing people together in Europe, as we all know.
And just imagine if you were like in the throes of World War II and Hitler's going around massacring people, and you start saying,
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, suppose you started saying back then, "Hey, look at this guy, he's really evil," and then someone comes along and is like, "But what about the printing press, man? What about the printing press? And what about Immanuel Kant, man? So the whole line of philosophy. What about?" It's like, serious? What? You want me to talk about that? Anyway,
yeah, of course. Don't be Nazi phobic, man. Don't be German phobic. Sharon P made a super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Shio said you are both secret Catholics. That's why you both defend the Catholic Encyclopedia. Sheikh Uthman told me so. It must be true. Yeah, well, it's true.
There's another super chat along those lines that we're actually crypto papists.
I was told David and Apostate Rabbi were secretly Jews, but they're actually crypto papists. What is even reality anymore? Nobody knows, man.
He caught us. And so say, guys, you're ignoring the big picture here. It's not a Christian and a Muslim being paid by Israel to defend it. It's we're actually undercover Mossad agents working to do this stuff.
Yes.
But we're just pretending to be crypto papists to add another layer of deception. Of deception. See, AP has every costume he might need.
Yeah. Even
depending on the situation.
Even to defend myself, just in case when some really crazy people come by, I even have this one here.
He's always ready. He's ready to represent himself as whatever is needed in the moment.
Yes. It's all. It's a matter of survival, man.
Look, it's what Mossad trained us to do, man.
Yes. James is tired. Hey, James, what's up? Always good to see David and AP. Take care, guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. Strap-on Pleasure Machine made a contribution. Thank you. Always good to see here. Strap-on Pleasure Machine. Thanks.
The super chats from Strap-on Pleasure Machine always feel good.
Yes. Yes. Strangely, nobody knows why. David the Goliath said Mongols introduced gunpowder to Europe through warfare, without which no European empires. So will we give Mongols credit for European colonialism? Yes.
And did you know, in the midst of all this complaining about China and what China's doing, that the Chinese invented gunpowder? Why not talk about that? Why not talk about that invention?
Yeah.
Oh, don't want to talk about that? No, you just want to talk about communism and blah, blah, blah. Come on.
Alhamdulillah. Red Kim said enlightenment happened as Westerners started letting go of their religion, not the other way around. You could interpret...
That is the stupidest thing that's ever been said by anyone in the history of forever.
Important Enlightenment thinkers were actually trying to present their religious ideas in a light that you could say, if you want to look at it that way, you could say, well, they were letting go of it. They were not traditional, but they were Christians.
Yeah, this is a moronic caricature based on someone who's never actually investigated anything. Who came up with the university system? What were these universities started for? Who was doing all the science? Actually go and look up what the pioneers of the scientific revolution said. They viewed nature as another book of God because it's created by God. They wanted to study it and learn how it works because they believed that it was actually a form of worship. When you're understanding what God has done, that is a form of worship. You're connecting with the mind of God. They believed that they were the kinds of things who were capable of this because they were created in the image of God. This is what leads to everything. No, it's just the secret closet atheists. They were doing it. They were the ones doing it. Then and some people said, hey, actually religion's stupid. And then the scientific revolution happened.
So here's the thing, though. I mean, there is a nuance to it, right? So these guys, the Enlightenment thinkers, they were offering a new way of appreciating and a new way of Christian thinking. So they were, in a sense, against traditional way of being religious, but they were still Christians because they were still offering a Christian way of looking at the world by appreciating the world around you and thinking in logical ways. Right? There is some nuance to this, David. Don't be a bigot.
There's no nuance.
Okay, fine.
Look, you already said you didn't want nuance. You
Okay,
said
fine.
that about Bassem.
Fine. Let's just go with Nietzsche then. Miguel O said, hello, can you guys host a Catholic, preferably Trent Horn, very underrated Christian apologist. We don't like Catholics here.
Yeah, and it kind of depends. It's not just have a Catholic on just to have a Catholic on. If you have some issue where there's like a Catholic is an expert on this, do it in a heartbeat based on something we're interested in.
Yeah. Atheism, or you atheism. Atheism is
atheism is
atheism is true. Atheism is the only true religion. Desmond said AP.
Hey, according to Jake, you should execute anyone who leaves atheism because he wants the topic to be just should apostates from anything be killed.
That makes, you know what's so stupid? What I didn't even bring up when I made a response to him. He asked me a question when I was pressing for a discussion. He said to me, "Do you think that there is anything, do you think it is inherently immoral or inherently wrong to execute apostates?" And I said, "Stupid question when you discuss with me, but what does this question have to do with anything? I will happily discuss this with you once we have an actual live discussion." He then said to me, "Well, if you don't agree that it's inherently immoral, then that means we agree and the discussion is over, so no need for it." And I thought, are you dumb? What the hell are you talking about?
That is dumb. That is insanely dumb.
That's not how it works.
Notice their reasoning is if you can't say something that is inherently immoral in every situation, therefore you can't condemn it happening ever.
Yeah. That's not how.
No, these guys are. No, this is like from the perspective of ethics, that is absolutely insane and
that is
moronic.
Stupid.
But notice the reasoning. You can't condemn alcohol inherently because it was allowed at one point, right? Yeah. So therefore Muslims can't say, well, we're not allowed to drink alcohol. You can't condemn alcohol. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Would anyone, and notice if you said that to them, if you said, oh, since it was allowed here, therefore you can't condemn the practice now, they would all, if you did it to them, they would instantly understand how stupid that reasoning is. But if they're talking to a Christian or an atheist or anyone else, that's exactly the reasoning they use. And it makes perfect sense to them.
Yeah. So I mean, just to give a very quick response, I could say, I don't believe that anything is inherently wrong. Things are only wrong depending on, the value you put on them. And, as a result of the consequences of it, I think it is wrong, but it's not necessarily inherently wrong. That means I disagree with him, and I disagree that that apostasy penalties are wrong. I say apostasy penalties are wrong. He says he says they are not wrong. So we disagree, but we do agree about the inherent morality part. But he doesn't get it. He thinks I either have to condemn it forever and say it is inherently evil, otherwise it means I agree with him. It's just ridiculous. And that guy praises himself as a philosophy master here. And this is only one of the perspectives. Miguel O said, hello, can you guys host it? You already read this, man. What's wrong with you? Matthew Velasquez said, AP doesn't have the Baha'i swastika. Unfortunately, I don't. Shame on me. I disgust me. So Dave said, David, a lot of these Dawa guys use conversion of some Mongols in Iran, Middle East to Islam as proof of Islamic truth. How to defeat this argument? Is this a serious question? David, give your one word response to this.
Yeah, when someone converting to something at some point qualifies as proof that something is true, then
that means everything is true.
Yeah. So I would ask, okay, so what you're saying is some people converting to something means that it's true. And if a Muslim says yes, Yeah, I'll be terribly interested in that. And so notice it's the same thing. It's the same. They have the same mentality.
You're
Look,
supposed to give a
Andrew,
one-word response, not 20 minutes.
Andrew Tate converted. This is the proof. And someone who like that converts. And notice, if Andrew Tate had become a Buddhist, would any one of them say that this is evidence of anything, even slightly? No, they would not. These things are only evidence when it's Islam. If it's for anything else, it's just completely irrelevant. And that's just one of the problems with Dawah.
Yeah. If a pimp becomes a Muslim, that means Islam is true. If a human trafficker becomes a Muslim, that means Islam is true. Sankey said, what happened when Westerners left their religion was drag queen, story hour, and pro-Hamas protests in every city. Bad argument. Bad argument. Slippery slope. Terrible.
It's a brilliant point.
Slippery slope.
It's a brilliant
bad
point.
Argument.
Even your hero, Richard Dawkins, said that he has mixed feelings about the decline of Christianity because he thinks it may have been a bulwark against something else. So what's that? Slippery slope, AP?
Nietzsche also said something along these lines, but by that he didn't mean that therefore we should have Christianity. Yeah.
No, I know, and that's why I'm legitimately interested in how far people are willing to go.
Yeah,
I want to see this. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. Sid Dave said, how did Mo accept his belief that Abraham came to Mecca? Was it pre-Islamic belief that he co-opted? Why do Muslims invent these fake stories? I think, as much as I would like to believe that he was just an idiot and he made up things as he went, or people after him made things up, I think that there was indeed an actual pre-Islamic attachment to Abraham among the pre-Islamic era populations, and that legends of Abraham being also their ancestor or something like that did indeed play a role in that society. But this is only something that we can speculate. We don't actually know if that's true or not. So
I don't know of what there is to go on, and I would be in favor. If I had to side right now, I'd side with the view that Muhammad made it up because he had a habit of doing this. Oh, I want to get this. Oh, I got a dream. Oh, I want to run these people out. Oh, I got a dream. Oh, I want your daughter. Oh, yeah, I got a revelation that I'm supposed to have your daughter, and so it would fit right into his MO. But you can see in the Quran, that Muhammad is over and over again appealing to Jews as some sort of like religious authority. There's this just theme running out. In fact, that was one of the problems. Muhammad spent 12 years in Mecca talking about how the Jews would confirm him and the Jews would agree with him and the Jews would know that he's a prophet. And then once he actually encounters them, they make fun of him and call him a false prophet. And then he wants to, then he gets increasingly more and more hostile towards them. So anyway, point was, even towards the pagans, even towards the polytheists, Muhammad is pointing towards the Jews as some sort of people that just the general population apparently thought was knowledgeable in matters of religion. So I think it is possible that maybe they thought Abraham was down there and did something. If I had to lean in a direction, I would say
something.
Yeah, I would say I would guess Muhammad made it up.
Yeah, thank you for that 2-hour response to a simple question.
Powerful.
Black Eagle said, is there a prominent atheist who isn't all about arrogance and hubris? Yeah, it's me. I'm the most humble atheist out there.
By the way, we've talked about this in the past, that everyone's going to go through this right now. In fact, I'm worried about how this is going to play out in Christianity, because basically, which we've talked about before, once groups, every group feels like it's being attacked, or once every individual feels like he's being attacked from every side, the tendency is to join a group if you're not in one. And then the tendency within the group will be to distance yourself more and more from every other group. In other words, you can just think of it, you can have the political left and the political right, and if once one side defines the other side as attacking them, like they're attacking us and they're against us and they want to destroy us, the tendency within the group is then to get further and further away, because you don't want, if you have a group that's like this, say this big, this represents all the people in your group, and you define everything that way as evil, then the tendency within your group would be to favor the people who are going further and further away. And anyone who's sort of on the back here, then you're starting to sound like them. You're starting to sound like those evil people. And so the tendency is to go further and further, and people will rally around like the figure who is most against that other side. And so this is why you're getting people like Muhammad Hijab and all these guys within Islam. They're rallying around the people who people on the other side most agree with least. And you see that you see that in politics, everywhere else. It's going to happen everywhere. And so get used to it.
I only have 4 super chats left here. I will read those, and I will not go any further. As much as I appreciate the super chats.
What if someone just dropped like hundreds on you right now? You just ignore it?
Even if somebody made a $5,000 super chat, I would not read it. I would just go.
Someone want to test him on that?
We have to go at some point. I do really appreciate this, and I love it, but we have to go. It's been 3 hours. It's almost 3.5.
Yeah, killing us. Yeah.
Hamas should read Proverbs 17:11. An evil man seeks only rebellion. Therefore, a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Yeah. Hamas should eat more hummus and be quiet. David Goliath said, David, many Muslims claim that establishment of Israel is an extension of Crusades and ensures permanent Western presence in the area. What do you think? Well, so what?
What would I care about some Muslims claiming this? They claim about 1 million things, and it's almost always ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, think about this. Like the British are saying, you know what we need to do? We need to continue the Crusades. That's what the British were thinking. Hey, you know those Crusades from way back in the, way back in that those empires. Yeah, we need to start that up again. We're going to go down, guys. There's no.
You know what the funny thing about this is? The British were very, very disconnected and very uninvolved in the whole Israel matter after they were done with their mandate. They didn't even take part in the partition plan. They abstained from voting in the UN partition plan for how Israel and Palestine should look. They abstained from it entirely. If they were interested in actually exerting some power and some control over that region, they wouldn't have put Jews there.
Yeah, they would
have stayed there, or they would have put their own population there.
They could have controlled it. They had it. They had it. They didn't want it. And notice, I mean, what are the actual things that are most involved? It's you did have Zionism. You had Jews who always lived there. Then you had Jews who were moving there. And then you had a war in which millions of Jews were exterminated. And you had the entire world's population being in shock and saying, yeah, the Jews do need a spot that they can actually defend for themselves. Seeing in this as somehow, hey, this is a revival of the Crusades.
Big revival. Watson said, is there an apartheid against Palestinians? We talked about this recently on David Wood's live stream, which was, I believe, yesterday or the day before. It was the day before. And there is a lot of disagreement on this if you want to define it. But according to Muhammad Hijab, for example, even taking some land is considered Nazi regime apartheid. According to others, there is a lot of stuff going on. I personally don't agree that that is going on inside Israel. I do agree that some unacceptable standards are ongoing when Israel is in control of the West Bank and Gaza, but those things should not be ongoing, and that's not Israel's fault. Sorry. That's what I want to say about this. Sid Dave said, find it funny that you claim Abraham came to Mecca and started the Hajj, but no subsequent Islamic prophet like Jesus, Noah, ever bothered to come back. That was one of my main points when I made a video on this whole topic on Abraham and Mecca.
You did have the Dawa guys claiming that that's where David ran. Right?
Yeah.
That's where David went and hid.
Stupid. It's stupid. Stupid.
They're like, oh, it says David went and hid from Saul. Where do you think he went? They're actually Mecca. like what? Are you insane? Yeah,
no.
It is.
I don't buy your Ella.
It is a more glaring problem in all of this. The idea that Abraham. So the theory is that Abraham and Ishmael, they build the Kaaba and they start up all the religious practices and so on, right? So this is a long, long time ago. If you look at the Muslim practices associated with the Hajj, they're just copying the pagans. They're copying the pagans, right? The pagans walked circles around the Kaaba and did all this stuff that Muslims now do. The pagans took the pilgrimage to visit the Kaaba and walk circles around it and bow down to it and so on. The pagans did all of this stuff. But Muslims will say, but Abraham started these practices thousands of years earlier. And it's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. So the pagans, they ended up rejecting all of the theology, right? They rejected the theology that was taught by Abraham and Ishmael. And they corrupted it and turned it into polytheism and so on. But they kept the religious practices going completely correctly for thousands of years. They kept the correct religious, even though by this time they have idols all around it, 360 idols around this. They somehow, throughout all of this, kept up the correct religious practices. And it's like, that's insane and ridiculous that people got this all right for thousands of years, even though they're pagans by then.
Of course. And everything we know about Abraham from all the sources that we have from the biblical tradition, never is anywhere anything mentioned about Abraham going to Mecca. But yeah, sure, it happened. Yeah, must have happened somehow. Hey, what's up? How are you doing, Brother Rashid? He said, they claim that they have the right to that land because Muhammad flew on the back of Burak and tied it to the Western Wall. Parking lot of Buraks.
Hey, yeah, that was actually I told Jake as soon as he mentioned that if he wanted me to make him do a Koranagami demonstration, he should mention me. And then of course he did it pretty much instantly. So I asked people what I should make, and the two options I favor most of a new Koranagami video were, one, Barak, which I can do, and two, a Star of David, which I can do. So those are the options. I haven't decided which, but I like both those ideas. Matter of fact, I think I have to say the Star of David would be a little more relevant right now. A little more relevant because you can kind of make fun of the Barak issue at any point. But yeah, so guys, so Jake has, the people have spoken, and Jake wants a glorious work of art. So I'm going to make Jake Koranagami Star of David.
I'm gonna make Jake. I just came up with the dumbest idea in my head just for fun, which is to make an AI generated image of a Barack Obama, which would be Obama as a flying
and Muhammad
horse.
flying on him. Yeah.
Yes. So stupid. This is the stuff that I think of in these serious moments. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Don't make a $200 super chat. No, I'm not going to read it. Not going to read it. Sorry.
He won't do it.
I'm not doing it.
He won't do it. You can even try it and see what happens.
Thanks everybody for watching. Is there anything else that you want to add, David, before we ride off into the dark?
No, just I only trust Sajid Lippam when he gives final thoughts.
He will jump in now and he will say something very, very significant. Before he does that, thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you again very soon. Have a fantastic day. Take care. And as always,
stay away from Islam.